All right. I do believe we are almost live. Or live right now, depending. I don't know. Can't really tell. It says on my end that we're live, but I'm not sure if anyone else can see me right now. Just gonna keep talking until people start commenting, seeing what they say. Oh, that's not the earphone. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Good. Welcome everyone. If you're on, or if not, I don't know yet. I always feel it's like disconnect from when I hit the live start going button and when it starts actually broadcasting. But I digress. Cool. Good. Looks like it's live right now. So we can get started. I think. Oh yeah, no, I'm live. We're good. Cool. Excellent. How's everyone going? Is everyone doing all right? I see Crim is in the comments section. Yeah, Crim, you're on the thumbnail, and you're going to be on screen for a bit, but you're not on yet. We'll get to you in a moment, don't worry. Welcome. I am glad to see people coming in and filtering in. It has been a bit of a weekend for this channel, not going to lie. You might be new here. You might not know how things go around here, but he's very casual. I'm not too worried about a thing. So, if this is your first stream, welcome. I'm seeing him being called Professor now. Oh, I'm loving this. What is funny glasses, man? That's valid. Yeah, no, we're just gonna... These are really casual streams. I'm not super worried yet. Sabin has not joined yet. For those who are unfamiliar with my streams, Sabin is a troll who was on Lily Orchard's Discord, who hates me, and shows up periodically. They pay money to make fun of me, so I keep them around, because why not? My hair looks nice? Oh, thank you. Yeah, new wallpaper. I got it up because of, during my last Star Wars stream, I put it up because of the, James Earl Jones' passing. I felt it was a good idea. Hello. Welcome. I hope the, music's not too loud. I don't think it is. It should be nice and mild. You would love this guy to be a professor. Oh, it's funny you say that. I did at one point consider becoming a professor, but then I realized that the education system in America for higher education is not good. In fact, it's quite in a bad state at times. If you say their names 3 times, they'll show up. That's definitely a possibility. So, we have a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. We are going to get into the topic of Canadian cartoons momentarily, but I do want to address the big elephant in the room this weekend. Hugely successful video. Some of you guys might be here for the first time because you just discovered me through this weekend's video. I want you to understand it's not going to be Lily Orchard bashing every week. In fact, it's rarely going to be Lily Orchard bashing. That was more the exception that proves the rule. Most of these discussions will be very centered on just media engagement, media analysis, criticism, discussion, digging into the depths of some cool stuff. And today we're going to be talking about my good old friend Crimson Ender and his recent video that came out the same day as my big video, and I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to look at it and follow Crim because Crim is awesome. We'll get you up to 10,000, don't worry, soon enough. How many Pokemon games do you have to play before you count as a Pokemon professor? That's a good question. I think the number is enough to win Pokemon. It's weird seeing Cybersix in the thumbnail because that's another show from my childhood. I assumed it was just a dream because no one ever talks about it. That is all very true. Have you ever heard of the show Robots? Robots I have not heard of actually, but we'll find out soon enough. Again, when it comes to animation, I am by no means an expert. That's why we're going to voyage into this together. You see, this video isn't so much, I have the answer for you, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to look for the answer with you. Are Canadian cartoons really good? Well, Crimson Ender seems to think so we'll find out in a moment. But, first and foremost, I did ask a lot of y'all some questions about whether or not you felt that, what your thoughts on Canadian cartoons were. And I'm going to bring them up right now. Yeah. We're bringing it up. I'm going to call out all of you who showed up and left a comment. Don't you love it? Interaction. Oh, Black Century King, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Ant, I recently watched a video talking about how censorship has a negative side effect of empowering bigots. I have to ask, what examples have you noticed of such things? Well, that's actually a great question. I would be inclined to agree with that sentiment. That censorship does embolden. It emboldens. It encourages bigots so often. An example of this would be something like recently with Lightyear. So, for those of you who don't know, Disney recently announced that, well, not announced, but one of their, I'm going to load the chair a little bit too, well, I'm so tall I never fit in the camera. So Lightyear obviously did not do very well at the box office, and Disney blamed Lightyear's failure on the 11 seconds of lesbians that showed up in that movie. The movie censored the gay couple in other countries, and because of that, many right-wing people felt that was a victory over the woke Disney mob, as if Disney was ever, a company was ever, quote-unquote, woke, ever. But I digress. There are a lot of cases also where censorship encourages bigotry. If you look at, say, the 80s, there was a lot of censorship of LGBTQA themes, of violence, of exploration of identity in general, and we saw a rise of neoconservatism under Reagan in the United States. That was a big thing, too. Game censorship has the same mentality. Gas station candy, thank you for the super chat. Anthony, stop ignoring my texts. I'm pregnant, and it's your child. Quote from Karlak from Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, I would love that if that were the case. I love Karlak. Karlak is great. If this is your first time coming here, you're going to realize I am extremely thirsty for Karlak. I reference her constantly in these videos. I might just do a Karlak video at some point, even though I know Baldur's Gate stopped updating. Hey, it's never too late to talk about Karlak. So. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, what's going on here in chat? Someone's calling someone out. Bruh? Jazz? Jazz, I don't know what's happening here. That's revenge for the awful oh god. That's valid. That's valid. Anyway, yeah, they blamed it on the so with Lightyear, they blamed it entirely on the kiss when it was a number of other factors at play. The biggest of which is that Lightyear wasn't a very good movie. Just saying. Gas station. Oh, I see. I get it. Now, let's zoom in a little bit on this screen right here. Right here. There we go. We're going to dive into some comments here that you guys left. I asked on YouTube, what are your opinions on Canadian cartoons? And you guys all gave us some answers. You got 55 comments. I'm going to skim a couple of them. Then we'll jump into Crim's video. But we'll go from there. So. And Crim, you can absolutely answer. I'll read what you say in chat if you want, because I know you have a perspective on this. Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. Welcome back to Canada's greatest game show. Canadian cartoons and characters. What quality are they? Are they good? Let's find out. That's very true. We're going to find out today. Next up on The Price is Right, we'll find out if Canadian cartoons are amazing or not. Many, I'm sure, are. I feel that we don't give enough credit for all the ideas and actually interesting shows we've helped create as a country over the years. We helped co-produce many famous shows, but America always ends up getting the credit. The Magic School Bus, My Little Pony, Barbie Life in the Dream House, Curious George, Blue's Clues and You, and Ed, Ed and Eddie. The list goes on. These shows wouldn't have been possible without the Canadian talent put into them, but Canada is often left uncredited and underappreciated for their part in these classics. Hell, even shows that we produce without America often aren't known as Canadian cartoons. Paw Patrol and Max and Ruby are both entirely Canadian creations people don't even realize are Canadian. Absolutely. Also, if you want to call me to interrogate me, you can do that. I'm available. Okay. Yeah, Crim, want to jump on chat? Yeah. Crim, let's get you on. That's fine. I can call you right now. 1 second. Crim, I'm going to call you right this second. Let me just bring Crim in here so I can react to his video as you all are there. Right. It's all good. And start voice call. All right, Crim, I'm calling you right now. Crim, you there? I can't hear you. 1 second. Let me fix this up. I think the voice, for whatever reason, is not... Oh, I see the problem. Headphones. There you go. Keep talking.
I have been summoned.
You have been summoned. Crim, welcome to this impromptu discussion about the... So now...
I didn't think you were going to do it right now. I figured it was going to be after my video, but that's fine.
Oh, you're on a video call right now?
No, it's fine. No, I thought you meant like not after you watch my video, but I don't care.
No, I can talk to you all. This will be fun. You haven't chatted in a while since the last time you were on a stream.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's fine.
How you doing, Crim? By the way.
I was doing good. Me and a couple of my friends were watching your stream, and then I was like, if you want to, you can call me. And I thought it was going to be later, but then you're like, I'll call you right now. I had to drop everything, but it's okay. It's okay. I was available.
That's fine. That's fine. All right. Cool. By the way, Crim, do you want to show it? I'm going to show everyone the photo we took the other day, just hanging out.
Oh God.
So Crim and I were hanging out. We took a photo. Don't ask why it looks like it's illustrated. It's not. It's totally real. This is totally a real photo of the two of us. Absolutely. Here you go.
My stream's still catching up.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're showing, though.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It'll take a few seconds for stream to catch up, but this is a totally real photo of Crim and I. This is us in our natural habitat.
Yeah.
I was gonna put this on the thumbnail, but I figured the biting would be better. Now,
well, I feel like that's kind of what happened. Is I was making my niche little video that I thought 30 people would watch, and then I look into my notifications, and you shared it for the world to see, and I was like, oh, okay.
Listen, I have a habit of sharing the things my talented friends create with everyone. I get excited about it. It's a thing I do. If your friends think you have to deal with it, I'm very sorry.
I'm also very excited for how I drew your face. I feel like it captures you.
It does capture my vibe. It really does. It's kind of wild. It's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of love the way you just look like, oh my god, is he really carrying me right now like a cat?
I think you made that comment at one point, but
I did. I definitely did. That's my ultimate weapon. I pick people up like cats and just kind of dangle them. That's how it works. And Crim drew this. Crim is extremely talented with art. You should follow his channel if you haven't already.
I'm actually working on an art-related video right now.
Ooh. Maybe make your dude a little bigger on my screen. By the way, there you go. Cool. You're about equal size to my
gigantic.
Face. Oh yeah, that way your grippers are in
no.
4K.
Not the grippers. Okay, but I'm very interested in this topic.
Oh yeah, I can tell.
As you know.
So Crim, I have not watched your video yet. I want to react completely blind to it on stream. But obviously you have a history in animation. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I know you said in the comments, but say to the world if they missed it. What is your background in animation like?
So in 2010, when I graduated high school, I got into an animation school. Mm-hmm. I am hearing a little bit of echo, so it's a little hard to go into a long spiel because I keep getting distracted by my own echo. But anyway, and I went to an animation school.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
In the first year, it was like foundation theory and traditional methods.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up dropping out for the second year because, gender things.
Okay, makes sense.
But the second year is mostly labs and like technical stuff and 3D engines and stuff. But I got a pretty good foundation, and I was able to work in the industry for 4 or 5 years.
Which is incredible.
And it was like It was like some animation, a lot of film, I worked at a game company for about half a year, a few months, and a lot of freelance stuff.
That's actually legitimately really awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was super fun, but then a lot of the tax credits that they hand out in Canada to the arts were cut, and I was one of the first people on the list that I got let go of my film job because they could barely afford to pay the staff after that cut. And even people that were my seniors in that company left and haven't worked in the film industry since.
Oh my god!
Unfortunately, actually, the guy that I was working under is also working in social services, like I am.
You know what? It sounds like a common track. You go from animation to social services, but honestly, you're in a great field also. On top of that, and of course, you're on YouTube, which is how I get to harass you all the time.
And I feel like being a YouTuber, I have a lot more control over the art that I want to make, and I'm not just sitting in a desk in the Autodesk Maya mines, just cranking out assets for a game that will probably never actually make it in there.
Oh, yeah. Which is depressing. That's the roughest part, because you put all this heart and soul into this work, and then all it takes is one guy looking at it and going, "Yeah, I don't want it," and then he changed the whole thing and rip it apart.
Yeah. I made 8 different cauldrons for you, and you went with another guy's cauldron, but it's okay.
Oh, that's the worst. That's one thing about YouTube too. I find very freeing, because I obviously have a background with writing, which is very different than the arts. But there's
overlap, I think.
There's a lot of overlap, of course. But with writing, there's this one article I'll never forget, and I've told the story to anyone who'll listen to it. Even when it was happening, I would tell the story. Where when I was still writing for CBR, there was an article I was writing about Higurashi. And this is when the newest series of Higurashi was coming out at the time. I think it was 2020, 2021, something like that. And I'm like, oh, hey, this is really cool. New anime series coming out. And with CBR, all the articles are kind of clickbaity. So you have to kind of go with an angle that's like, okay, we can get the most clicks. But I'm like, oh, it's strange. This newest season of Higurashi is coming out. It's a really popular show. But I'm not seeing a lot of hype about it online. What's going on? What could be causing this lack of hype for this newest season of the show? And the editorial got this article, and they went, okay, the best anime you've never heard of is getting a new season. No, that's not what I was talking about, guys. And this became, every single person ripped it to shreds when this thing, and hey guys, listen, that headline's bad. Do not run that headline. And they're like, no, it's fine. Trust us. We know what we're doing. The SEO machine tells us this will get the most clicks.
One of my favorites.
No one clicked on it because the headline pissed them off so much. I can't even blame them.
Yeah. One of my favorite animation projects that I worked on. I don't want to out myself too much because I don't know if it actually made in the finished film. But it was a film where can you do anything with the echo? I'm so sorry.
The echo?
Yeah, I'm getting my voice echoed back at me, and it's really hard to talk.
Oh, why is that happening?
I don't know.
That's weird. You're fine on my end. That's the strange thing. I don't hear any echo on my end.
I think you're broadcasting my voice over Discord.
What?
Somehow.
That's weird.
Wait, hold on.
How would I be doing that? Oh, you sure you don't just have my stream running in the background and you have an earbud
Nope.
in?
I have. Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. Nope. Hold on a
weird.
Second.
While you're doing that, we just got a super chat. Boggle Vonk, thank you for the super chat. Looking forward to this video. I bet it's still sticky with maple syrup and whipcrack.mp3. Yeah, probably. Maple syrup, though, is delicious. I will say that right now. Yeah, Crim's not echoing in on stream, so it might be on your end, whatever's happening.
Yeah, maybe it's my end.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I'll deal.
So Crim. Oh yeah. So tell
I
your
was going to
story,
say
then we'll keep going.
animation project. It was a project that I worked on when I was working in the film um, studio, and a Canadian were donating money to a village in a underprivileged country, and there was like a communication back and forth between the school that they were funding to get built and the kids were writing letters and drawing art and sending it back. And we were hired to wear awareness. And one of the things that I did was that I took all those drawings and I made an animation out of them. And it was one of my favorite things that I ever worked on. So I would take the village that one kid drew and maybe like some of the people that other kids drew, populated the village with those people, and then like I remember animating somebody riding on a bike and like very carefully cutting the bike wheel out of the drawing and then adding it back in but letting it roll, and just like little things like that to try and bring to life these kids' drawings. And I really loved the end result. I don't know if it ever made it into the film though, and I've never seen the end product. And that happens a lot when you're working in studios, and it kind of sucks, but
it's rough. But like it's still so much talent and skill put into something that sometimes may never make it out. I feel people really don't have any perception of how much work goes into these projects that you may never even see. Like when I was working still with CBR, there was some animated projects we get to review that were these really unusual underground animated projects, and I tried writing reviews to promote it, but they'd always get smothered in like the algorithm. Like there is so much unusual media out there that people just don't see. They just miss it. Or it's never shown to them, or the studio never releases it. It's amazing and depressing.
Oh, there's a message in the chat that I would love to address.
Go for it.
What is your opinion on the U.S. portrayal of Canada? There is a lot of factors going into it. Now I'm coming at this from the angle of being an Indigenous person, so that colors my opinion a lot. That sort of goofy image that you think of when you think of Canada, it's very informed by liberals wanting to like make us seem harmless as a country, when the fact is that we played active roles in the oppression of Indigenous people and to an extent Black people as well. Like we do also have like a racism problem and a xenophobia problem, and labeling us as these goofy, silly people that live in cabins and just love hockey, and it's a problematic. It's belittling, but also at the same time, it lets the worst people in our country get away with a lot of shit.
It's funny too. Like there was a recent, and obviously you would know way more about this than I would. And not to get this conversation too dark, because I do want to keep it focused on like animation and like the fun stuff. But one thing was there were all those schools that were found. Where all the Indigenous people were brought in, the kids were brought in, and they had like hundreds of bodies buried under the floorboards or in the back in the yards or under the foundation, and it's like such a horrible thing.
That's really personal to me because the last school was shut down in 1995 or 6. It was the same year that I started elementary school. So the kids, I wouldn't have gone to that school if it was still open anyway, because I didn't have status. But, you know, the tensions were high, and like scrutiny was passed on anyone that even resembled an Indigenous person. And I looked very Indigenous in my youth, to put it bluntly. So I was called a bunch of slurs and stuff. It was it was a very awkward time, because my class was the first class where the Indigenous kids didn't go to the residential school.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were the last school to be closed.
Oh my god. Yeah, so obviously that's going to be a very serious topic for you, because
anyway, sorry, I didn't want to get into that too deeply, but like it's
like
that goofy Canadian thing. Like, we're as complicated as the United States is.
Yeah.
There is good and there is bad. We are such a large country that it's weird when people paint us with a broad brush.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, like, most people, when they think of the worst a Canadian has to offer, they either think of, depending on where they come from, they either think of the Ken and Barbie murders, or they think of Justin Bieber. But, like, you know, they don't think of the actual, you know, decades and decades of, like, real bigotry that was enforced and again, in the educational system in America, very often what they'll do is they'll say, oh, the French came and they got along perfectly with the natives living there. They were just best friends. It was great, which is just as, you know, superficial of a story as, you know.
That's complicated too, because those were the Acadians, and that's like a whole kettle of fish that I don't really want to get into right now.
Understandable. You won't. I won't make you relive your high school Canadian history classes here.
I mean, I'm very passionate about it, and I would like to say that I'm reasonably well educated. Because I was in French immersion in junior high and high school, so like this was a big part of my like history classes and like social studies and stuff. So yeah, I was taking most of my classes in French. And most of my teachers were Acadian. So,
would you be able to speak French right now?
My accent's really bad, and I haven't been speaking it for a while. I'm really embarrassed about my accent.
Then don't worry about it. It's fine.
If I heard somebody speak French, I could understand it.
Valid.
But I don't like speaking it myself, because like I got bullied for my accent when I was living in Montreal a few years ago. So I don't like speaking it.
That's fine. Don't worry about a thing. You don't have to. I just like hearing people speak in other languages. But if you don't feel comfortable, it's totally fine. Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. Need more foreign media depiction of America. Britain's Dan Dare voyage to Venus painted us as gun-toting cowboys shouting, "Remember the Alamo!" Well, listen, have you ever read Dracula? That has my favorite American in any piece of media ever. So in case you don't know, in Dracula, the character Lucy, Westerner, is approached by 3 bachelors, and one of them is Quincy Morris, who is the most like gunslinging, cartoonish American stereotype possible. He speaks so densely in Americanisms that like he could be an offensive caricature, but he's just so likable. You just kind of love the guy. And unfortunately, spoiler alert for Dracula, he's the only member of the core crew to get killed by Dracula. Lucy doesn't count because she dies early, but that's okay. He's great. Anyway, so what I want to do, I'm going to take away this image of Crim, this real photo of Crim and I. This is a real photo, guys. This is totally legitimately a real thing. This absolutely happened. I have to get rabies shots on my arm. I'm going to put this away. I want to address a few comments I got on YouTube, and I want to then jump into Crim's video. Now, a lot of these comments recommended cartoons from Canada that they loved. I saw a lot of Ed, Edd n Eddy. I saw a lot of Totally Spies and Braceface. I'm sure, Crim, you have heard about Braceface recently, especially.
Yep.
But I will bring up Totally Spies later because I feel like that's a very interesting chapter in internet history. I'm sure you can have opinions on, Crim. People are mentioning the movie Heavy Metal, which actually I legitimately love as a film, even though it's very cheesy. Heavy Metal is basically an anthology of short adult animated cartoons, all of which are extreme. They have people like famous Canadians like John Candy's in it. By the way, Canada gave us John Candy, so that already makes Canada great.
Canada gave you Superman too, by the way.
What was that?
Canadian is the one who invented Superman.
Oh, was that? So wait, Joe Shuster and they were Canadian? I didn't realize that.
At least one of them was.
That would make a lot of sense. That's pretty cool. That's legitimately really cool. I like that. Fred's Head is super underrated. I'm seeing in the comments. I don't know that one. I saw a lot of people from Britain who watched a lot of Canadian shows growing up. Reboot, I forgot was Canadian. Yeah, that's a great example of a great cartoon. Totally Spies is a French and Canadian co-production. I think the first 2 seasons
There's a lot of those.
Oh, yeah. I believe that. I think after season 2, it was primarily Canada that produced it, but I'm not positive on that. Beast Wars, I'm seeing people mention. I'm seeing people say the Canadian cartoons either got really weird or really freaking rad. For 3Ds with the rad, by the way, and lots of parts.
Also, Canada was some of the a lot of Canadian studios were doing dubbing in the 90s and the early 2000s, and there are similar problems with the 4Kids dubs. But again, you wouldn't have anime the way it is today without Canadian studios.
Wasn't I might be wrong with this? Wasn't Inuyasha and a lot of the Ocean dubs Canadian? I think the Ocean group was a Canadian group. I'm pretty sure, and they did Dragon Ball Z very famously.
Yeah, dubbing studio, Ocean Production Canada. Yeah, it was. Only dub, the Inuyasha anime was dubbed in Canada exclusively.
That makes sense. That's like the sound of my childhood. Whenever you'd wake up a little too early for school, you would always wake up for whatever reason.
Richard Ian Cox is a big Canadian voice actor.
Oh yeah.
So and he voiced Inuyasha.
And I think he voiced Ranma too for a while, right?
I
believe he did. But I'm not. I might be misremembering that though. I'm not sure.
A
lot of Total Drama Island was mentioned too. People really love that.
Yeah, did. He did voice Ranma.
Nice. I feel like Ranma is such an interesting character. I have to do a deep dive at one point with Ramna because I feel like that whole series is because of how so many people who grew up with that show have changed their relationship to that show based on exploration of gender identity. I feel like a lot of people who watch that show as young trans people feel very strongly about that series. I've seen a lot of people. I mean, I'm not trans, so I can't speak to that, but
I have mixed opinions on it.
Yeah,
I don't like the trope of forced gender change. It's kind of, especially male to female forced gender change for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For obvious reasons, that makes total sense. It's just interesting. I find some people see it very validating, other people find it very problematic, and I feel like that's
You'll often see. Well, for Ranma half, you'll see it split down the middle most of the time. Between trans men and trans women, I find most trans men find it a little bit dysphoria inducing. A lot of trans women find it empowering, and a lot of non-binary people find it empowering. But
yeah, I imagine trans men might be very uncomfortable with it, though. now that you're saying that, I'm actually, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it. But anything you want to say before?
Can you share your screen so that I can see what you're doing?
Yes. Wait, you want to actually see what I'm doing? God, Crim.
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting. Okay.
Ew. Chill out, Anthony.
Oh, terrible.
I am trying so hard to get rid of the echo, but it's not working. I think it's on your end.
That's weird. I have no idea what it could
I
be.
think you're just broadcasting your voice back at me only. I think it's a Discord setting.
That's weird. Let me double check that. 1 second. Before we get started, we're going to try fixing this real quick. Discord settings.
Hurting my brain.
All right, Discord settings, voice. Oh, that's weird. Input voice, input microwave. Okay.
Input microwave?
No. There's no input microwave. We're good. Okay, so push to talk. Automatic deterrent sensitivity. Server, no. Video setting, no. No echo cancellation.
I don't know what it is, but it's so.
Let's try this. Is this better?
Hold on a second. Wait. Yep, it's gone. It's gone.
Gone? Excellent.
Yippee!
Cool. For whatever reason, there was an option called echo suppressor, and that was off for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was hurting my brain a lot.
I'm very sorry about that.
That's actually like a method that people use to make it harder for other people to talk, is to echo their voice back at them.
Huh.
Supposed to hurt your brain. It's supposed to like mess you up and make it difficult for you to talk.
Well, that sounds annoying.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Let's just jump right into it. So, for those of you who want to see the video afterwards in its entirety, which I recommend you do, because again, I will always champion my friend's work. The video is right here. You can see Crim with Crim's little icon, and you see a few guys here. But we're going to just jump right into it. This video is about 16 minutes long, and we would be eager to answer any questions and discuss things along the way. Crim, if you have any reason you want to stop, just start talking and I'll pause it.
Yeah, and if you have any criticisms of me, or I'm open to hear it as well.
Oh,
I respect you as a video maker.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, Crim, I'm going to actually have to criticize you right now before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Because, quite frankly, I am still stunned by the audacity that you pulled earlier.
What?
The horribleness.
What?
You realize how,
what did I do?
You realize how much I have to...
Biting.
How many stitches I'm going to have to get my arm from this bite mark? You bit
deserve
deep.
it.
My arm is not. My arm is very thin. It does not have a lot of... There's not a lot here. You bit, like, into the bone. Between your chompers. I see how it is. I see you for what you are now. Hang on.
Look, I just think that if I could bite somebody as hard as I can just once, it would fix me.
That's valid. That's valid. Anyway, so, all joking aside, let's just jump right into it.
Has been a hot button topic in some circles.
For some reason, it's right in the middle. 1 second. Let's start right here. And let's begin.
Somebody made my intro for me, 10 flicks. I don't remember if I put it in the description.
That's a cool... Let's take a look. That's a cool visual.
Yeah, I don't think I put it in the description. I'll have to edit that. But 10 flicks. I know that they're looking for work, so I should put his contact information in the description.
Yeah, I might need that myself.
He's very reasonably priced, and he edits. So I'll definitely put his information in the description. I totally forgot.
I might need it myself. Actually, that's really cool. Anyway, let's just jump right in.
Okay.
The quality of Canadian cartoons has been a hot button topic in some circles as of late. With Canadian productions in general, there has always been an unwarranted association with corny aesthetics and storylines, as well as cheap and shoddy productions. This often comes from people whose favorite works have been made in part and sometimes even entirely within Canadian borders. This reputation is somewhat understandable, considering that American productions are often backed by major corporations and toy companies. This leaves the smaller studios making cartoons in Canada, often funded by government art grants, with the short end of the stick. However, I want to bring some gems from across the history.
Before we get too far in, before we get too far into this, just discussing the whole perception of Canadian animation as negative. I've actually never heard this stereotype about Canadian animation being negative.
Really?
No, yeah, never. I've never actually. It's just a thing I've never heard of before. Because I guess it's
not just the animation though. What you'll hear that whenever I see a show on the CW and it looks kind of weird, I know that it was made in Canada, and they look it up. It's like, yeah, there it was. It was made on a Vancouver soundstage. I could tell because it was kind of shitty. Like, it's not just cartoons. I don't think I specified cartoons. I just think I said Canadian productions in general are kind of associated with like low quality, shoddy, like, oh, it's fake United States and that sort of thing. Not realizing that like a lot of like in-house American cartoons also don't actually shoot in the cities that they're purportedly being shot in. But yeah,
because that's interesting. Because like for me, like whenever I think of Canadian productions, this might tell you where my brain is at all times. But the first thing I think of is David Cronenberg. I think of which I mean I guess makes sense given I adore horror so much. But
okay, you like horror and you like Cronenberg. Have you seen the one his son made called Antiviral?
Oh yeah, I've seen Antiviral. I think you meant Possessor.
Oh, Antiviral is one of my favorite movies ever, and it like disturbs me in such a visceral way, but I keep going back to watch it.
Did you see Possessor?
So good.
His son
I
also
might have
made
to make
Possessor?
a video on it during.
I would love that. I would love to see that.
I don't know if I saw that.
Possessor is like cyberpunk horror. Like if that makes sense, it's like people who like biohack into people's brains to commit assassinations. Like it's really good. What?
Antiviral, similar themes, I think.
Oh yeah, I think he's playing
cyberpunk horror.
I think he's playing with a lot of the same ideas.
Yeah, he obviously has like a fixation going on in his brain.
I mean, I love.
I hear.
Yeah.
Somebody in chat says, I heard a lot of stereotypes about how Canadian cartoons are cheaply shoddy because it's funded by the government in the animation community. Yeah. Stargate was infamous for every planet looking like a forest in Vancouver. That's because Stargate was made pretty much entirely in Canada. And all of the main characters are played by Canadians, like Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda Tappings, Michael Shanks, and Christopher Judd are all Canadians.
Also, Stargate's great. I haven't seen it in years, but I remember loving Stargate.
I love Stargate. I revisit it. Was like what I was obsessed with in high school, and I revisit it every few years.
It's been ages for me. There's a channel on. I don't think do you have Pluto TV in Canada? I'm not sure if that's like a thing. But it's like one of those.
It's just like
what?
Is that like a science fiction?
No. So Pluto TV is NBC's live free access streaming. Like basically a bunch of channels that run 24/7 that are free with commercials, and they'll sometimes just run Stargate like on some of their channels like for weeks, just straight through, like all the Stargates. I think there might even be a Stargate channel out there. They do it with Star Trek, but like I think they own the rights to Star Trek, so it's not quite the same thing. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. One day after we visit Stargate, like a lot. Okay, cool. Let's jump right in.
History of Canadian animation to your attention that you may not have considered. I'm Crim, and here are 6 Canadian cartoons that I think you should watch. I would like to preface this list by saying that while several of these cartoons were developed entirely in Canada, there are a few that partnered with studios from other parts of the world too, and when those come up, I'll draw attention to those as well. I'll be covering these in the chronological order in which they were released, rather than ranking them from worst to best. Lastly, while I watched the shows on this list during my childhood, for this review I only rewatched the first 3 episodes of each show, all of which can be found right here on YouTube. This is by no means a full review on any of these shows, but if you're interested in me covering any of them, please let me know in the comments below, and why not hit that like button while you're at it? It really helps out the
YouTube show
channel.
moment. Yippee!
Oh, I actually did not realize that. YouTube, when you say hit the like button, like the like button illuminates. That's really cool. I don't think I noticed
you didn't know that? That's been a thing for about 5 or 6 months now.
Well, I usually just look at like YouTube on my TV, so like I don't see that. Like this is one of the few times I actually watch. Really, when I'm streaming is one of the few times I actually use YouTube on my browser.
Same.
Because I'm like, you know what? I could sit inches from a screen when I do when I'm working all the time, or I can sit from a couch and like get some food, get some drinks, get like some water, get some hot tea, something. Put a blanket on and just lay there from a distance. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Pigpen. Oh hey, what's going on? Beast Wars is the best Canadian cartoon IMO. Okay, so apparently a lot of people love Beast Wars and hate Angela and Anaconda for being weird looking.
I used Angela Anaconda as one of my examples for not so great Canadian cartoons.
Yeah,
because I didn't like it either. It was weird.
I just remember being really disoriented. I remember, like, actually, you know what I remember from how I remember Angela and Angela Anaconda the most. When Digimon the movie came out,
the Angelamon.
It's like, what is this? I just want to watch Digimon. I just want to get to the monsters. What is this monstrosity? Such devastation. It was not my intention. Anyway, so let's just jump right in.
Quintessential 80s cartoon created by Kevin Gillis. 5 specials were released starting in 1980, and in 1985, the television series was broadcasted on CBC television. It focuses on the misadventures of charming goofball Bert Raccoon and his friends in the Evergreen Forest. When I was rewatching the start of this series, I was shocked to discover that there were actually human characters in the cast, with the raccoons and their animal friends inhabiting a sort of secret world hidden from humans. The connection was the sheepdog character Schaefer, who was the family pet of the forest ranger and his children, going on adventures to help his raccoon friends when the human family wasn't looking. I did a little bit of research and confirmed that this changed after season 1, resembling more of the cartoon I remember from my childhood, a world entirely inhabited by animal people, the human characters not making another appearance from season 2 onward. While some of the character designs are a little dated, it is undeniably beautiful, with hand-painted backgrounds and a colorful...
What is this?
The nose is like that Bert has is so distracting for me, and it's like one of those things where like I have to get past it, but it otherwise looks so pretty. Like the animation and the backgrounds are all hand painted.
Yeah,
and look like a storybook, and I love the backgrounds in this show.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the designs for the raccoons, I'm like a little wonky on with some of them, but like those. Like it has like such a warmth to the backgrounds. Like, you know, it makes me think of like Moomins almost a little bit. Yeah. Like that's the way that came to mind immediately. That kind of like warm and fuzzy sort of, but also like inviting. I think also it wasn't Brother Bear, Franklin, I think the cartoon was. I feel like that had similar like looking backgrounds. It was like a Nick Jr. I'm not sure if that was in Canada or not, but
Franklin also is Canadian.
Oh, it is Canadian. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. It all comes together. I didn't know, so that's actually really cool. No, I've actually never seen this cartoon. This is totally unknown to me. I've never even heard of it. This is really interesting to me.
This is my childhood.
Oh, there you go. That explains everything.
It tends to be one of those shows with a message, but in later seasons especially, this is often handled quite gracefully and maturely. The entire series is up on YouTube, but if you want something with a better quality, there are remastered versions on several different streaming services, and someone even went back and did a fan remaster before these became available. In 2017, series creator Kevin Gillis even announced that he was working on a reboot of the series featuring a new, modern design. Hopefully the reboot will bring back some new eyes to this Canadian classic. Now, for each cartoon we're looking at, I'll be going over a scoring card to give a more measured idea.
I see how I see Crim. I see how it is.
How is it? How is it, Anthony?
Officially become a YouTuber. You have scorecards and everything. You grew up so fast.
Fine.
I'm kidding. You're like my age.
God.
I can't make that joke.
We're the same age.
We're like just the same. Exactly. I can't make that joke. Listen, Crim, at least your spouse isn't calling you an old man all the time, so that works out fine. Because they're like a year and a half younger. Really takes advantage of that year and a half. It's terrible. Anyway.
Of the show's rating. The categories are style, and this is personality and artistic identity, including visual, sound, and writing. Quality is the consistency, effort, and skill put into the work. Characters is how memorable and compelling the characters are in a given show. Voice acting is how well the characters are conveyed through the talent of voice actors. Bonus points for unique, distinctive performances. The story is how well the plot is constructed, both episode to episode, and in the case of serialized cartoons, the overarching story and themes. Lastly, there will be a bonus if you like section. These are shows that have a similar theme, style, and vibe. If you watched these shows, you'll probably like the one that I'm reviewing.
Yeah, I'm digging this like music
For the
you got going on, by
Raccoons,
the way.
my rating is
Undertale.
style, 7 out
there we
of
go.
10.
I knew it sounded familiar. I'm like, it sounds like Undertale, but I didn't want to say that and sound goofy. But
No, it's okay.
love it.
The quality is 10 out of 10. The hand-painted backgrounds really make this show stand out.
Yeah, agreed.
The characters are 7 out of 10. The voice acting is 7 out of 10. And the story is 8 out of 10. The storytelling, while simple, is charming and sometimes even unexpected despite its age and its audience. If you liked
I'm
DuckTales...
going to pause that 1 second. We just got a super chat. Mystic Mind Analysis. Thank you for the super chat. War Planet's Shadow Raiders is an often overlooked mainframe entertainment show and of early CGI cartoons in general. Yeah,
Mainframe Entertainment was the people that made Reboots and Beast Wars, by the way.
that makes sense. Yeah, that sounded like the Reboot guys. I love that though. I actually have not seen War Planets, but I did see Reboot and I have seen Beast Wars when I was growing up, and they were absolutely great. Just absolutely love that stuff. I would also, this kind of reminds me, so the Raccoons, I'm also getting the vibe of Gummy Bears, and some of the other Disney, I mean, you got DuckTales, Tailspin, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Adventures. Like, you're talking like the Disney afternoon special cartoons. And it
Absolutely
really
same vibe. Same vibe.
Same vibe. And that's like a very cozy vibe to me. Like, I really love those.
It's a bit more mature than some after school or Saturday morning cartoons, I would say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I'm going to go a bit into it later, but like cartoons in Canada weren't really seen as exclusively children's entertainment the way they were in the States. So you got a wider variety in intended audiences for them for a longer time.
That makes sense. Because, again, Cybersix, like, I don't think is...
Yeah. Well, can also consider the fact that, like, the end result isn't to sell toys. So they don't have to be for children, because, like, by the time the show gets onto, gets on air, everybody's already made their money. They don't care. They were all made by small studios. So, like, they're not trying to market a toy or, like, target a specific niche audience of, like, young girls or young boys the way that a lot of cartoons in the time that I'm talking about, which is, I think the earliest one is Raccoons, and the latest one was released in 2006. And in that era, especially, it was like toys. We've got to sell toys. And none of these cartoons, sort of with one exception, but it's not really, it's complicated, weren't trying to sell merchandise. So they didn't have to commercialize it as much, so it could have a more, like, wide audience with, like, across genders and ages. So,
which is good.
That's a big, yeah.
And I feel like also with the Disney Afternoon, like, it's the Disney Corporation.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Their entire function is, like, their sole function is to sell stuff.
Corporation.
Yeah.
It's either it was like a toy company or a big corporation like Disney. So.
Yeah. And it's like, it's very telling. Or, it was marketing something else. So, for example, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, like the most controversial cartoon of the 80s in America. Yes, it was, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon was the most controversial cartoon from the 80s. In terms of, like, parents complaining and all that about being too satanic for their children on mainstream America TV. It's like, stuff like that was like, you had to be beholden to groups. You had to be beholden to marketing materials. It's just terrible. Anyway, but this is like, you can tell. This feels a little different.
Tailspin and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, I would recommend giving this show a watch. The Adventures of Tintin was a 1991 cartoon based on a Belgian comic book of the same name.
Belgian mentioned.
Oh, that was the thing too. I was surprised. I actually did not watch the Adventures of Tintin cartoon. I was more familiar with the comic when I did when I started studying comics in university. I was vaguely aware of Tintin, but
holds up.
It's interesting. It has like a real Popeye quality to it, just from the designs. I feel like, I don't know why I think Popeye, but like something about the eyes, I think, and like that kind of exaggerated, like, facial features and like little dot eyes.
Partnership with Canadian studio Nelvana Limited and French studio Ellipse Programme. It features the semi-episodic adventures of the titular Tintin, his dog Snowy, and his good friend Captain Haddock.
Yeah,
I have to say, I definitely get vibes from these two. They live together for the vast majority of the series, and while at first I thought I was crazy, I wasn't the only one who saw this connection, as it turns out. Tintin, as the pairing's name is known, has been around since the 1970s.
Sorry, this is
and really
tangent.
picked up steam in the 90s.
Oh my goodness.
The duo has been used in anti-homophobia campaigns in Europe, and there's even a big mural painted of the two of them embracing in France along Rue de Petit Carreau. So I guess love wins.
That's interesting.
I had a scout. Actually, I say scout. I have a follower who's in my or subscriber, whatever you call people on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I had a subscriber who's in my Discord server get really excited when I was talking about this, and he went on a little trip. He lives in France to Rue de Petit Carreau. Unfortunately, they're doing construction on the building right now, and it's gone.
Oh,
and I'm
depressing.
so sad.
That's depressing.
And there's another. You were talking about this one, and there was another piece that was done by one of the subways, and that's been vandalized very recently, which
That's
makes me
depressing.
sad. But like, France is facing a lot of like right-wing bullshit at the moment, and like anti-gay propaganda. So. Yeah, unfortunately, these murals have been defaced, but
Which is
that mural is copied and in a lot of different places in Europe, so it's still out there.
Which is good, yeah. It's always awful when you see that, though, because you always know that's the first thing they do. They attack the arts, the right wing, or the extreme right wing reactionaries who are homophobic and hate. They always attack the arts first, because the art is the easiest way to spread ideas, Anyway, yeah, but that's not this kind of stream. Well, that's another stream. Because I'll depress myself otherwise.
I just wanted to talk about like representation, in cartoons.
Crim,
Early
you are
on in
singing
Canadian
to the choir in
Canadian
this one.
cartoons, just for no particular reason. I just thought it was something that I wanted to mention in a couple of the examples I brought up. No, for no reason.
No, not at all. And there's no reason why I have a video about bisexuality coming out this Friday either. It's totally coincidental.
Yeah.
Just a complete coincidence. Actually, I got a couple comments actually with the most recent video with the Lily one, where it's like people who are going like, "Wait, were you saying it was okay when lesbians like things?" I'm like, "Yeah, not straight. I have to tell you, buddy." I got so many of those comments going like, "Are you sure? Why would you have space thirsty sword lesbians as a book? That's like woke. You realize that, right?" Like, buddy,
you realize this is woke, right? It's like,
like, do you realize it's woke to have lesbians on your thing? Like, oh, buddy, you're gonna hate this channel if you keep watching it. You may not want to subscribe if that's what you're talking about right now. Yep. I got a few of those comments too, so it wasn't like one. So if you're the one person you think it's you, like, no, there was a few. You're not the only one, buddy. Don't worry. There was a few of you. Anyway, let's keep going with gay Tintin here. Also, how old is Tintin supposed to be?
It's actually never said. He is like a college graduate, though. Like, he is a journalist. Like, that's his job. So I know that most people that like the Hatterton thing imagine him to be in his mid-20s to early 30s, but the creator intentionally never gave him an age. But dude lives in his own apartment by himself. At the start of the series, he seems to be a university graduate. Like, I wouldn't call him like particularly young, but some people do kind of choose to imagine him as a teenager, and that 2011 film, didn't do him any favors. I fucking hate that movie. People keep on telling me to watch it, and I'm like, I did, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel that one like really changed how people see the character, and I hear it. I've seen bits of it. I've never seen the whole thing. The bits I've seen looked incredibly beautiful, but like also I can see that being problematic if you're a fan of the source material. Yeah. Like, I feel the same way about what? People
even in the comments are like, Tintin's age is ambiguous. He's between 15 and 19. He's in his early to mid 20s. Tintin's in his mid 20s with a baby face. Like, he's just like a character with like no facial features that you could just kind of imagine him to be however old you want to be. Hergé imagined him as like 15 when he created him, but like 19 by the end. But like, he made those comments long after Tintin was created. And like, I don't know, I just can't even see him at the beginning of the series as particularly young because, again, he lives by himself. He's educated and he has a job as an investigative journalist. So, like, that tells me that he's graduated university.
They don't typically hire like children to be like investigative journalists to go on adventures that are high risk. The insurance alone would be impossible. He just has a very young face, and I'm not sure if this is like he has a very interesting hairline too.
Yeah, anyway. he gives me like twink in his 20s, but that might just be me.
I'm getting twink vibes. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going before we start talking about twinks.
Outside of being the ambiguous life partner of a salty sea captain, Tintin is an investigative reporter who's particularly attracted to mystery and adventure. The show is very charming, but it does get a little dated at times.
Yeah, there's some yellow face problems.
Some of them surprisingly thrilling for a cartoon in the 90s. I think this is because cartoons weren't seen as exclusively for young children in Canada the way they were in the States, so we tended to get a variety of programming for all age groups. My rating for Tintin is style, 9 out of 10. Tintin looks unique. I don't think it could be mistaken for anything else, and it really works for the identity of the series. The quality is 9 out of 10. Despite its simplistic hand-drawn style, there's a surprising amount of detail in various scenes. The characters are 7 out of 10, the voice acting is 8 out of 10, and Tintin's Canadian accent is hilarious considering he's based out of Brussels, and the story is 9 out of 10. It's very reminiscent of classic mystery novels. If you like Carmen Sandiego, Kim Possible,
or... You say something? What was I going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you watch The Adventures of Tintin, like the cartoon that came out in the 90s, be prepared for the strongest Canadian. Like, I'm not sure if it's Nova Scotian or New Brunswick. I'm leaning towards New Brunswick, but be prepared for Tintin to have like the strongest East Coast Canadian accent you've ever heard. It's insane.
I love it. Also, people in the comments are speculating about you, Crim, that you may be a certified boy liker.
I don't like boys. What are you talking about?
Anyway, anywho, obviously I hate everyone. I think everyone is gross people.
Yeah, of course.
I'm very, very biased about that. Anyway, let's keep diving in. Also, I think another show, aside from Carmen Sandiego, Kim Possible, and Inspector Gadget, that I thought of with Tintin. I'm thinking also a little bit of Johnny Quest a little bit.
I never watched Johnny Quest, I'm going to be honest with you.
I watched the New Adventures of Johnny Quest they used to have on Toonami back in the day. I really dug that one. Like, again, it is similarly a very dated show. Like, I'm sure if I watched it again, I'd be like, this is kind of wonky. Like, the Venture Brothers kind of made fun of Johnny Quest more than anything else. But I really dug it. I thought it was a really cool show when I was growing up. So I'm getting that same vibe, but with... I think, like, Tintin has a softer aesthetic than Johnny Quest. Like, Johnny Quest has very harsh lines, very heavy. Like they like to do those things where they add like the heavy cheekbones to everyone to make them look more manly. But like it just looks like kind of unrealistic, if anything. Oh, Johnny Quest, not Johnny Test. Johnny Test is different.
The Jackie Chan cartoon is also Canadian. Yippee!
I was going to say, Jackie Chan Adventures is great. I kind of love it. I also get a kick out of the fact that Jackie Chan has almost nothing to do with that cartoon. Despite it. Like, how that show worked, I have no idea, but it's actually really good. I kind of love Jackie Chan Adventures. Is it on streaming? Because I haven't found it anywhere. Like, I haven't really much of it.
If it's Canadian, then you'll be able to find it on YouTube.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like I couldn't find it like officially streaming, but I guess it makes sense. Anyway, that's one I gotta revisit. I feel like Jackie Chan Adventures, like the first couple seasons at least, were like really solid. Anyway,
Inspector Gadget, you will probably like this show. Jumping to an entirely different genre, Cybersix was a mystery sci-fi thriller that came out in 1999. It was produced by the Network of Animation in Vancouver, Canada, and animated by Japanese studio TMS Kyokyochi. Yes. It was based on an Argentinian comic book of the same name, the three countries working very closely together on the first season. Now, I might be biased, but...
Oh, you're biased there.
Cybersix is a crime-fighting android woman by night and a mild-mannered male English teacher by day named Adrian. I was surprised to go back and find such a blatantly gender-fluid character in a show from back then. There's also something to be said for the fact that during flashbacks of Cybersix's childhood, she's depicted as being surprisingly androgynous. While it's never stated outright that Cybersix identifies as non-binary, nor do I believe that's a completely accurate description or intention of what's going on here, the fact that the character moves through the world as both a man and a woman was definitely a highlight for me, and very notable given the time it came out. Beyond that...
Okay.
Yeah.
I fucking love the show. It's been a while
Yeah,
since I've seen it, but I love
we
this
said
one.
Cybersix invented gender. Cybersix did invent gender.
You got the perfect integration of several things I personally love.
It's so good.
You got the queer element of it, which I think is always love. You got the cyberpunk aesthetic to it, which I always love. Like that sci-fi kind of cyberpunk leathery stuff.
Yeah,
edginess.
it's dark, it's mysterious, it's romantic, it's like got really fun characters. It's so good. And the reason we don't have more of it is because the three international companies couldn't agree on an artistic direction for the next few seasons, so the project was dropped.
God, I hate when that happens. I thought it was because it wasn't like my thought was it was like a popular thing.
It's Canadian. They don't fucking care.
Oh, that's true. That does make it.
They're just like, we're just gonna make the thing that we want to make. Fuck it if it's not popular.
Also, one thing too. Just gonna go back a second here. I gotta give props also just to character design. Like look
in a show from back then. There's also
Yeah.
to go back.
like look at the difference between these two. Like physically. Like you got big broad. You got little twink. You got big old hair. You got the big glasses. It's just a series of like great.
The character design is so good. Yeah.
Like one great thing after another. Just fantastic. I absolutely love it. Anyway, let's keep going. Right around here.
The story has a gritty, dark feel to it without edging over into doing too much. It has some genuinely sweet and touching plot moments,
I love that
great
as
action
Devin.
scenes, and it's extremely stylish and visually engaging. I would definitely suggest checking out this short but incredible series. My rating for Cybersix is style 10 out of 10. It's very unique, it's fun to look
Also
at, and the
Panther.
fighting and action scenes are beautiful and
Big old
dancerly.
black cat.
The quality is 10 out of 10. A lot of effort and work was put into each pen stroke and each frame of animation. The characters are 8 out of 10. It can get a little melodramatic and corny at times, but it's easy to get invested in the main character as she's so compelling. The voice acting is 7 out of 10. The story is 9 out of 10. It holds up to this day and is a fun watch for people of all ages. It's dark, romantic, mysterious, and thrilling. If you like Disney's Gargoyles and Batman the Animated Series, I think you should really give this show a watch.
I'd also probably say another show that I thought of, though I should emphasize this is more because of the darker comic book aesthetic, not so much subject matter, and it's not the same age demographic whatsoever. I kind of also think of the Spawn series a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
HBO Spawn, in terms of the aesthetic, because obviously in terms of the subject matter, it's nothing like that. I mean, yeah, they're both kind of gothy, but like, the way that series has the heavy shadows and the really interesting character designs and really interesting fluidity and, well, okay, maybe not fluidity. I think actually Spawn's weird. That's the more I think about that show, it's kind of weird that it exists.
The next few cartoons, I'm quite certain that you will not have heard of before.
Okay.
So I'm very excited to see what you think of how they look and if you're interested in watching them.
I may just. Let's find out. Oh, so there you go.
For Better or for Worse is based off a Canadian comic strip by Lynn Johnston. It was produced by Canadian studio Funbag Animations out of Ottawa. Of this list, it's the only show aimed at adults, but it's got a more wholesome and family-friendly energy than its often more subversive and edgy contemporaries. Each episode features 3 vignettes, One from the early years where the kids Liz and Michael are in grade school and Ellie and John are young parents.
Huh.
One from the growing years where the kids are teenagers and their baby sister April is a toddler and the parents are about middle-aged. And finally, the later years where the parents are middle-aged, Michael and Liz are young adults, and April is school-aged. Each episode features a thematic through line explored in each part. These are bookended by excerpts from Johnston's original comic strip and introed by Lynn herself. While often lighthearted, the show has a lot of relatable family moments and isn't afraid to broach difficult and emotional topics. It's notable that the show does reflect Lynn's own traditional values, but it's in a very approachable way. The characters and backgrounds are rendered in a style reminiscent of 20th century comic strips.
Yeah,
it stands out as being hand-drawn at a time where many animated series were starting to use 2D rigged puppets. One of the more standout elements of the show is the relatable sibling relationship between Elizabeth and Michael. Michael tends to be quite mischievous, and Elizabeth has a short fuse and can be melodramatic and emotional. They bicker and squabble, but they also work well together as a team when they put their heads together. Occasionally, one of them can take things too far, but their parents are well-rounded and emotionally supportive enough to get the family through tougher times. The style, I give a 9 out of 10. The animation is very expressive and character-focused, and is really nice to look at. It really brings Lynn Johnston's comic style to life. The quality is 8 out of 10. A lot of attention to detail and visually pleasing. The characters are 9 out of 10. It has a relatable cast, and the kids mature and grow in a believable way. The voice acting is 7 out of 10, and the story is also 7 out of 10. If you like the Flintstones, Rugrats, or the Proud Family, you should give this show a watch.
Okay, I really like this aesthetic. Like, there's something that's so immediately likable about it. Like,
I like how expressive the characters are too. Like, they're not kind of afraid. I just like that sort of, like, I don't know. It's just, it's so fun to look at, and I like the way the characters move and like the little expressions and, like, I don't know. I love it so much, and it's.
Oh no! There's something like, for me, this is gonna, like, it makes me think of a lot of, like, there's a lot of cartoons that I grew up with that has similar-ish, like, components that would look similar, like certain, like, what was the one? Like, there were a few on Fox Kids that used to have, like, that kind of sort of scratchy, sort of sitcom-y aesthetic to it, but there was, like, something about this that feels, again, like a comic strip, like you said yourself.
I would have to do a little bit more research. But so the people, I would have to do way more research. Like, if I ever did, like, a deep dive into For Better or For Worse, I would probably look into this more. But my theory is, so a lot of Disney after-school cartoons, especially the ones that were based on movies, like the Aladdin movie, the Little Mermaid, or the Aladdin cartoon, the Little Mermaid cartoon, like all of those, like. The Disney animation, when it was doing all of those cartoons, all of that was done up in Canada. And then Disney's, like, kind of pulled the rug out from under us after we asked for better pay.
As Disney is wont to do.
What it reminds me of, and, like, you guys are going to fucking hate me for saying this, but I say this as somebody who was taught by these people. This is the Cal Art style. That sort of way that they draw the expressions and how there's, like, a lot of volume to, like, the faces, and, like, you feel like you could kind of reach out and, like, grab the characters even if they're rendered in a very, like, simple 2D style. That's the Cal Art style, and there's, like, a method to drawing expressions and stuff, and I can recognize it as an artist who was trained by the people who went to Cal Arts, right?
I'd also say,
it's just, yeah.
Okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say something. I was going to say something totally different. I thought you were done. You finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Ah, cool. I was going to say, like, I also love how they show the characters in very different designs at each stage of their life, but, like, they're still recognizably the same people.
Exactly. Like, the way they age is very believable.
Yeah, but it's not, like, over the top. Like, I always think of, like, with Rugrats, where you go from, like, Rugrats to Rugrats all grown up, and, like, in 10 years, everyone looks like a totally different person at times.
Yeah.
Like, a little too exaggerated for, like, for realistically how much a person changes in 10 years. But, like, this feels very like realistic and very honest and very sincere, but also has a very like even the colors, like the backgrounds, the leaves falling, the snow. I'm seeing people mention Bobby's World, which was one of the Fox Kids shows I was thinking of, but I'm also thinking a little bit of course, Calvin and Hobbes, that same aesthetic, but I'm thinking a little bit of, and you're gonna laugh at me when I say this.
No, not at all. Go
The
ahead.
Rankin Bass Frosty Returns cartoon.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like-
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, like had that same art style too. Let me see if we can get just a shot of it. I'm not gonna replace your screen, but here, let me get like an aesthetic. Okay, now looking at side by side, not so much, but
Can I get you to actually bring something up? Can you bring up the Iron Giant?
Iron Giant, yeah, of course. That's what I'm talking about
And,
right
like-
now. Oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. I'm looking at it again.
Like that was the original like cow art style, and it's now especially if you look at the characters, like the faces, not specifically the Giant himself, but like the human characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe look up Hogarth. Like this is different. This is like very painted backgrounds. Like this was like I'm more talking about like the character design.
Yeah,
And another one is the agent guy.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. The Asian guy with the. Let me get him up 1 second. See if we can find. Yeah, oh yeah. This. freaking
You
guy.
kind of get where I mean, where like it's very simple, but like, and I'm not saying that these are like, oh, like he looks like this guy from, but you can kind of see the way that they animate faces, even though it's a lot more simplistic, and for better or for worse, you can tell that there's a bit of like a technique and a through line to how they do faces and stuff.
Yeah, it's a consistency.
Because yeah.
Yeah, which is beautiful. Again, beautiful animation. And this guy's a piece of. This guy was such an
Yeah,
asshole. But like,
the way I love the way that he's animated though, and like it's like if you want to do animation, study this movie. Look at the way that the silhouettes are done, because they're all very normal people. Like there's not, but they look so different and distinct, and like the way that they're. It's so good. Like they look like real people, but like look at their heads.
yeah,
Like I can't remember dude's name, but like the agent guy, like his head, like that's not what a person's head looks like. It's very exaggerated. If you go back to For Better or For Worse,
yeah, same thing. Just-
especially if you look at the dad, and I don't know if you can go back to the like where him and April were playing in the leaves.
yeah, right here.
Yeah, where it's like he's got like this very solid. It's soft and like sort of meant to be appealing, but it's like very like that's not how human heads are shaped, right? But he still looks like such a dad, you know.
I was just gonna say, like, I love how soft the lines are. Like, there's no like hard edges. Really,
Flynn's
in
own
these
traditional
people.
values,
and it
but
looks
it's in a
very
very
calming to
approachable
the
way.
eye.
The characters,
Yeah,
they bicker and squabble,
again,
but they also work well together as a team.
it's TV budget, but I still think it's really like well rendered and like it's not on the same level as Iron Giant, but you can see where like the design sensibilities come from,
Now-
and it comes from CalArts.
Now, looking at what I was originally comparing it to, this looks nothing like it. I feel like I had a different visual of it in my head that was not quite the same thing as what it actually like. This looks just like the freaking penis.
Like it's Charlie Brown,
Yeah, like how I remember it looking is not how it actually looks like. And sometimes you gotta look it up to find it out. This is why you always Google search everything before you speak. But like, you know, well actually, no, I even... Oh no, that's not the image.
Oh, they're saying that John, the dad, looks like Anthony. I don't know about that, but
Oh.
I mean, maybe a little bit.
I'm not
Oh
blonde.
my god. Yeah, he's blonde.
Yeah, no, my hair's brown, so that's the difference right there. I'm gonna work with that. That child is bald. Yeah, the child is bald in Frosty Returns. He's a as they used to call them eggheads. They were very smart.
Oh
That's
god,
the old
egghead.
eggheads. The old. I love those old insults that like, not even boomers, because that's not even accurate.
Poindexter.
Poindexter, yeah, like the insults that the greatest generation would say, because it's like like no human being would ever. And I remember growing up with these cartoons thinking like, wow, someone's gonna insult me and call me an egghead or something like that. And it's like, no, No, buddy.
No.
No one
A
ever
lot
says
meaner.
that. No one says that. Anyway, moving on. This is good. This is good.
It
Though.
has a relatable cast, and the kids mature and grow in a believable way. The voice acting is 7 out of 10, and the story is also 7 out of 10. If you
People are asking Rankin Bass, did they do that at Christmas specials on a shoestring budget? Actually, it's really interesting. Rankin Bass basically outsourced all their animation to Japan.
Yep.
Essentially. Like, if you look at, and not just the Rankin Bass Christmas specials, but like, even when they did The Hobbit and The Last Unicorn, Toei did a lot of animation, I believe, for those. I think
The
it was Toei, right?
3D method that Rankin Bass did, it was basically developed by one guy in Japan, and the name escapes me right now.
Yeah, it was a whole thing I saw online where they went into that, but I forget the specifics. It's really interesting. I find Rankin Bass really fascinating because it's like,
Yeah, me too.
all the stuff that they're most famous for, they kind of had someone else do. And
Rankin
honestly,
Bass was the first anime.
yeah, right. It really is for so many people. And The Last Unicorn, like, a lot of the animators who worked on that would go on to do Studio Ghibli stuff.
Yep, I love Last Unicorn.
Oh, it's a
so
master-
good.
I adore that book. It's one of my favorite books, The Last Unicorn. I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, and I'm so excited that Beagle got the rights back to it.
Thank God. Like, he was
Now
one of those-
he's going on tours talking about it. If you liked The Last Unicorn, it has somewhat of a sequel / spiritual successor called In Calibri, where, it's so good. It's about this, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I guess, like, this is kind of on the dust cover. It's about this kind of old, grumpy, world-weary Italian,
Oh, I love it already.
Italian guy who has, like, a vineyard, finding a pregnant unicorn in his backyard. And it's such an interesting book. I would definitely, if you liked The Last Unicorn, you should definitely read that book.
Definitely. I'm
anyway.
aware it exists. I've just never read it. It's Audible has been marketing it to me for ages now.
The characters just are so fun. You know that, I can't get it out of my head. Flint Lockwood's dad in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yeah.
That's how I picture the main character in that movie looking. It's the same guy to me. I can't get him out of my head when I'm reading it.
This is valid.
If you would love to read a book where Flint Lockwood's dad is the main character, read In Calibri.
There you go.
It's by Peter Beagle. It's so good.
Just read Peter Beagle in general. Like, his work is fantastic.
Yeah.
But definitely that.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't read Last Unicorn yet, get on it. It is simultaneously one of the most beautiful and sadly upliftingly melancholic works I've read. It's the only way of describing it. It's sad, but it's also uplifting at the same time. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
like the Flintstones, Rugrats, or the Proud Family, you should give the show a watch. Jacob Tutu is about the youngest boy of 5.
What is this?
He's a small, nervous, and awkward kid. Many of the episodes are about trying new
Jacob
things,
Tutu,
learning how to be
yippee.
brave, and being more confident in yourself.
Okay, that is just kids from South Park. These are just South Park kids with like different animation. Paige Lego, thank you for the super chat. Hey Anthony, you might want to be careful. Crimson Ender seems like the type to copyright claim a reaction stream. You're right.
Yeah.
Crimson Echo would copyright the reaction stream that he asked me to he asked if I would like to do. And like the one that he's on currently right now.
Oh, people are excited that Jacob Tutu was mentioned.
I've never heard of this before. I think it's interesting, like aesthetically, but is this animated in Flash?
Yeah, it was one of the first Flash cartoons ever.
Okay, that's really cool, actually. People are asking if they can steal my hair. Why would you want to steal my hair? It's just hair. There's nothing to it. I just got a cut this weekend, actually.
Pretty.
Like, it's okay. Like, my hair just falls weird. Like it either like it falls in like clumps and like collects, or it just kind of like sits there. I don't know. I couldn't really do anything with it. Anyway, although right now I will say I have better hair now than I did in high school. my dad was always the type of guy who was like, you gotta have your hair short. You gotta be nice and like closely cut. I'm like, no. The first thing I did when I moved out, I let my hair grow out. Anyway.
Cartoon was made in 2003 in Moldova, and while it was one of the earliest shows to feature puppet-style animation, that doesn't mean the characters aren't unique and eye-catching. It features this really distinctive brushed ink look, evocative of a newspaper comic strip, and has an undeniable urban feel to it. It's suitable considering that the setting is Montreal. It's also not afraid to push the character animation, and I feel like this might be a weird detail to focus on, but I really love how the lip syncing is animated in this show.
These kids have some interesting hair. Like, I feel like half of their head is hair. I love it. Love it. Anyway, sorry.
Little flares this show has that make it stand out. I will admit that the character of Jacob can be a little annoying sometimes, as one of his key features is that he always has to say things twice to be acknowledged. This is of course not always true, and sometimes lampshaded when characters we are meant to read as more empathetic towards Jacob say he only has to say things once. Sometimes they lean a bit too much into him being the whiny little brother, but that's mostly reserved for family scenes, and he's far more tolerable with his friends and at school. Also, notably, Jacob Tutu is one of the earliest main characters in a children's cartoon that's Jewish, and explicitly so, at least in Western cartoons. The only other example I could find from before that is Tommy Pickles from Rugrats and a long list of deuteragonists, but not really any other main characters before this, which is notable in my opinion. Jacob Tutu also features that sort of otherworldly kid logic, where the principal is evil and all the teachers are coffee-addicted zombies, and there's a labyrinth underneath his school with...
Okay, that's not actually that far off. The coffee-addicted zombies part especially is very true to life, we'll say.
Traps in a hole that goes through the center of the earth into China. It's not taken too seriously and feels very much like how a kid would experience and see the world. For its rating, I give it a 9 out of 10 for style. It's very unique. It's a combination of hand-drawn ink on 2D flash animation puppet rigs and graphic backgrounds. The quality is 7 out of 10. The characters are 7 out of 10. The voice acting is 9 out of 10. Characters have very distinct, recognizable voices, and the delivery is usually pretty funny. The story is 7 out of 10. If you like shows like Recess, Codename Kids Next Door, and The Loud House, give the show a watch.
Yeah, I don't have much of a strong feeling on that one, but I like the aesthetic. It gets me like the vibe of like a kid's picture book, I'd say.
Yeah, it was based on a kid's picture book, actually.
Oh, that makes sense. It feels like that. You know, it has that kind of like that comforting sort of vibe that really, like, and again, like even like the traveling into the tunnels that you were showing there, like that feels like that feels like something I'd see in like a picture book for like not middle grade, but like 3rd, 4th grader kind of book, like just going into chapters, but not really. You still have some pictures here and there. I really dig that. That's really cute. But I also, like, it's weird. Like, I like it, but I'm also like, I'm not sure if I would have watched it as a kid. But like, it triggers a lot of associated visual imagery I have in my head with like that age group. If it makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's I hesitated to put it on the list. I was like, should I put like something else? But I ended up settling on it because it's very Canadian, and like it's very. I wanted to try to put like different genres on the list, and I think this is great as like sort of that modern after school cartoon. I think that having the Jewish representation is also extremely important.
Agreed. That especially.
And I love the aesthetic visuals of this show. They were breaking a lot of boundaries, and like I feel like what happened with Flash animation is they got lazy with it. You didn't really see. You didn't really like, even in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, where it is kind of congratulated for being, despite a puppet show, like a puppet rigged show, it wasn't afraid to push animation, and it still looked really good. And I feel like even that didn't push as much as Jacob Tutu did.
That's fair. And I feel like also with Flash, you know, you had stuff online with Flash that was so interesting, like Newgrounds back in the day. Yep. When I always think of Flash animation, though, the thing I always think of the most, and I'm sure because you studied animation, you think, oh, that's not that great. There's this example above it. I always think of Salad Fingers in terms of Flash.
No, Salad Fingers was definitely very like iconic and very like very of the time. Yeah,
very much.
I'm very familiar with it. Yeah,
but it feels like I feel like that was doing some things with Flash that were very interesting, like in terms of like the character, the puppets, and trying to vary up the models to create visual contrast, and the fact that he had fingers that were made of salad little pieces and was touching rusty spoons. I'm seeing people also compare Jacob Tutu to Invader Zim in the comments, which I think is interesting.
It does. It's not quite as dark. Like it's you know, like it is like a kid's cartoon, and it's. I don't think there's any comparison in terms of thematic ideas. But like it does kind of have similar proportions, I think.
Yeah.
And I do like the variance in like the character designs too. One of my favorite characters from Jacob Tutu is Buford, who is like, he was kind of like proto Sheen from Jimmy Neutron, but he was like actually charming and actually kind of funny. Whereas
not
Sheen was like, not exhausting. Well, because Buford wasn't hyper; he was just fucking weird, and he would always I can't recall what his full name is, but he would always introduce himself by his full name, because at first Jacob's like, well, why don't you like go by your middle name, because Buford's kind of an awkward name, and he's like, oh, my middle name is Gaylord. And he's like, oh, maybe don't do that. So then Buford starts introducing himself as Buford Gaylord, and I can't remember his last name, but it was it was really funny. He's just like this awkward kid that like talks a lot and like has like, you're not sure if he's telling the truth all the time, but he just keeps yapping. And Jacob is just like, okay then.
I kind of love that though. Also, Gaylord is such one of those names which I feel like no matter who you are, what age you're at, you're kind of like, why would you name your son that?
Yeah.
Like not even like anything else. It's like, I mean, if you chose the name Gaylord, that's one thing. Okay, that's your choice. But like, I feel like parents would be like, you know what? I'm gonna name my beautiful baby boy Gaylord, and we're gonna go with
like Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to have a certain mentality if you're gonna do something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, so we have one left here. We have a question about a quick question about animation. If you think there's something you can answer quickly, is there a difference aside from digital versus non-digital between cutout and puppet animation?
Not really.
Yeah,
no.
Kind of
you have a little bit more control over digital, but that's kind of the same, regardless if you're going hand drawn or puppet. You get a little bit more control. It's a little bit easier to swap between different models. Because if you're like turning the character's head to the side or a 3/4 view, that's a different model of the head.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit easier to do that in digital, but it's basically the same. My animation professor likened it to like those push pin Halloween decorations.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how it works and how you have to imagine them when you're constructing them. They're just like a lot more sophisticated.
Makes sense.
I'm not a fan of. I don't like drawing the puppet style animation. I prefer to go hand drawn and go frame by frame. But
I'm kind of of the same mindset. Like I feel like aesthetically, I prefer like the more hand drawn fluidity. But I also see how puppet animation be really beneficial if you're making a lot of episodes. Like once you have that design, it's a little easier just to reuse those assets. I imagine. So you can probably do more with it. Which I get why it's really useful in certain circumstances. And I think with a show like My Little Pony, where the characters are very like similarly designed, that works really well, I would imagine. But
yeah, because you could just copy paste the same pony body and just change the colors and like the main colors.
Exactly.
Fire Dragon asks, how about 3D art? So 3D animation is basically just the same like puppet style animation, but a little bit more complicated and put into 3D. Except, I would say that Illumination actually approaches it more from the same. I mean, they still have their base model, but a lot of the Hotel Transylvania is a really good example where they really push the expressions, and they kind of treat the characters like clay. And if you've never seen sort of behind the scenes video about Hotel Transylvania, please do that, because it's amazing what they're doing. I don't like all of the, or was it Illumination or was it Blue Sky that did Hotel Transylvania?
No, that was Illumination, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Because Blue Sky was bought out by Disney. And when they were bought out, they were closed. And they've had I think Hotel Transylvania is Sony.
Was it?
No, maybe not. Let me double check. I'm going to cheat and find out.
Yeah.
I'm going to cheat and find out. So that is Sony. It is Sony. Yep.
It is Sony. Yeah, Sony Animation. Yeah. And I think, my personal opinion, is that the direction we should be going for 3D animation, especially for cartoons, should be less of treating it like a puppet and more treating them like clay. I just wish that, Hotel Transylvania is fine, but I just wish that we had better storylines to be working with, because Hotel Transylvania, visually very interesting. The story's kind of meh, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, collectively they're very. I mean, I love the character designs, love all that, but it's not like you got going there for like this great stuff. I think Sony Animation.
The animation.
The
animation is definitely carrying it.
Okay, I mean, yeah, exactly. I think Sony did a great job with Spider-Verse in terms of that animation, which implemented a lot of different aesthetics and styles. And some of the tricks they pulled to get certain shots, because they were, I think, specifically in the first Spider-Verse movie, when they show Gwen's flashback to fighting the Lizard, who's actually Peter Parker, they didn't have a model for the Lizard, so they just reused the Green Goblin model and just angled it in a way that made it look like a lizard. Like, it's cool little tricks like that where I'm like, that's actually a really neat trick. You didn't have the model on hand, so you just toyed around with what you did have, like clay, to make it look like something totally different. And you wouldn't have known that.
If you want to look at like an amazing creator, an independent creator on YouTube right now that has a lot of his behind the scenes stuff, please look up Heaven Temer Tunes. His stuff is amazing. He worked on The Amazing Digital Circus. He did one of my favorite shorts that he did is called What's the Matter, Martha? A Musical Existential Crisis is one of my favorite animations that he did. And what's it called? He's very funny, and like he does behind the scenes of how he cheated some of his camera shots. I'm trying to remember what the Somebody Else Start Living My Life, another really good one. The Exposition Song, also really fun to look at. He just has like a lot of really interesting little cartoons that he made himself and behind the scenes on how that's made. So if you are going into game arts in college, Fire Dragon, please look up this guy. He's so talented, and he explains how he gets the shots that he does and how he pushes things. And I just really recommend that guy specifically. Worthy Kids also. Worthy Kids is so good.
Listen, any resource you can give the next generation of animators, definitely go for it, because it can only help.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to your last entry. Then I have a thing to say about a certain Canadian France-Canada co-production.
Okay.
While it's true that most Canadian cartoons aren't backed by companies intending to make merchandise sales, Ruby Gloom is an interesting exception.
I like this aesthetic.
What started as a clothing line you would typically see in shops like Hot Topic and Spencer's back in the early 2000s, with its cutesy melancholic quotes attached to them, spawned into a very adorable cartoon that was beloved by teenage goths.
Yeah.
At first glance, you might assume that Ruby Gloom's audience is intended to be young, with its storybook-esque style and low-stakes plot, but there's some surprisingly mature and not-so-mature humor and character moments throughout each episode. Ruby Gloom definitely grew past its beginnings as a humble clothing line and stands on its own as an excellent entry in Canadian cartoons. The plot centers around Ruby Gloom, a ragdoll girl living in a spooky mansion with her friends. Iris, the adventurous but clumsy Cyclops. Misery, the sad, melancholic witch who is a lightning rod for bad luck, sometimes literally. Frank and Len, the two-headed punk rockers. Skullboy, the artiste skeleton. Doom Kitty, the cat who communicates using violin-like sounds instead of meows. And Poe, the self-important raven.
Of course.
There are a variety of other reoccurring characters that make their appearance now and then as well. Each episode often focuses on problem-solving or a comedy of errors-style plot. While it remains simple and low stakes, it's very fun and very cute, and just might hit you with edgy teen nostalgia if you tended towards alternative subculture in your youth. My rating for
Crim,
Yep.
were you
What do you want?
Crim, were you secretly a goth kid growing up?
Secretly, I kind of wear that on my sleeve.
Crim.
I'm a goth kid now.
Yeah, right. See? I would have loved this growing up. Not gonna lie. It looks a little like has such a cute like gothic, dark. I'd say almost like Tim Burton-esque aesthetic from that time, but like,
Yep.
I think
It's very cute.
I also think that most people who do a Tim Burton aesthetic do a better job at that than Tim Burton. I know, controversial opinion, but it's like Tim Burton but good. I'm seeing in the comments.
Yeah, if it's like the kind of shirts, like I don't know if you want to look at them, but like the kind of shirts, like if you ever saw those, like they were like slightly better versions of those little comics that you saw on like DeviantArt was like, I made you a cookie but I eated it.
Yeah.
Like it's like a better version of that.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing what you mean immediately when I click on this.
Very Hot Topic. If you click on
Oh yeah, this is a Hot Topic shirt right here.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit that I wore as a teenager. I had those fucking arm warmers in like 6 different colors. Like,
I was gonna say, did you also have the arm warmers? But that answers my question.
A mall goth back then.
Oh, yeah, this is like peak 2000s mall goth aesthetic, and I'm here for this. I kind of love it. That's an actual child. No, I don't like that. I'm not posting an actual picture of a child wearing that shirt. That's weird.
Yeah.
But this is fine. This is a model. So this is okay. Yeah. Doom and gloom and all that. Oh, come on. The way they're angled, it hides all the language. This is like good Hot Topic. Back when Hot Topic was like an actual thing. And not like the corporate marketing store.
We just got Hot Topic in Canada, and I do have to admit that I did a little trip out to Hot Topic because I didn't have Hot Topic here growing up. We just had Spencer's, which is like a Hot Topic knockoff, basically.
I know Spencer's. I know Spencer's. We
don't go to the back, guys. Don't go to the back, kids. Don't go to the back of the Spencer's store.
Go all the way to the back to the Spencer's store. Okay.
No, don't do it.
I love especially like when I was growing up, they would be like people going like, "Excuse me, the back is for 18 and over," and like no one enforced that rule.
Bruh, they would just let me go back to the back.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
I was like, oh, look at these cool cartoon shirts, and like, oh, look at these cool wallets and these necklaces, and like, my mom told me that I had to go home now.
I was actually
my mom's telling me I need to leave.
I was actually in a Spencer's the other day because I was trying to buy like a novelty like shot glass, something like that.
Yep.
I kind of love the they have these like this one. I'm not sure if it's like a specific company that does these. They have like these like pseudo hentai.
Yep.
And it's like the most like off-brand, like trying to be like it almost
Junji
looks like
Ito and stuff. Almost.
It almost looks like a mix between Junji Ito and like Inuyasha, but like obviously more like 18 plus. And like you look at it and you go, this is like the goofiest thing in the world. like who's gonna buy this and bring it home and like their mom comes to their dorm room and just sees, hey honey, do you have a glass? And it's like, oh here, take my my hentai beer mug here. Shot glass.
Yeah. I think the closest thing that I have from there that could be considered of that, it's not like hentai-esque, it's more like the knockoff Junji Ito. It's like of a girl eating spaghetti, but there's like eyeballs in the spaghetti.
Oh, love it. Love it.
My mom told me she liked that shirt, so.
Hey, that's something. Now, here's a question, though, Crim. This is a very important one. Do they have like spirals in the spaghetti?
No.
No, because
I got a hard copy of Uzumaki the other day though from chapters sitting on my shelf. I still haven't. I read through it when I like from the library like years ago, but
I got
I'm
this
happy
right
to
here.
have a hard copy now.
Oh, actually, I think Uzumaki's on my bookshelf. You can't see it from me, but I have Gyo right here, which is another
Nice. I like Gyo.
Gyo is just, I find deeply just unpleasant. Like, it's just a deeply unpleasant manga, but I love it. But it also has in it, which is the best Junji Ito short story.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the best one. Amagaki Falls.
Yeah,
It's such a great.
absolutely.
It is like such
I
a
love that one.
great. It's so great. Anyway.
That's the one that got me into Junji Ito.
Oh yeah, no. I remember in like in college, someone uploaded the whole manga on like some site, and it was being passed along on like Tumblr and Twitter and all that. And
That's how I got it.
I was aware of Tomie, I was aware of Uzumaki, but I hadn't read them yet. I just knew that they existed, and that one thing was like, oh, this is Junji Ito. I know this guy. At least I've heard of him. And then like that whole manga, you're like. It's only like 18, 21 pages, but you are gripped.
Locked in, yeah.
It gets you with a basic, simple concept, and you are just there. You're never getting out of that story because you're. One could say you get sucked into a hole that's made for you. It's my hole.
All right, enough about your hole, Anthony. Let's
no. And I love how
let's finish the video.
One thing I love how like Steven Universe, you're watching that, and like the Amethyst episode, you're like, wait a second,
Yes.
hang on, is this a freaking?
Is this a Junji Ito reference?
and then she's like, oh, it's just a visual reference, not gonna go any further than that. And then she does like, hey, it's my hole, and like jumps in and like slinks back like it's the monk. Like, that joke was made for. That joke was made
You
for
could
me.
say that joke was made for me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That joke was made for me and only me. It's so great.
The worst Junji Ito short story was the one with the glycerol. Glycerol grossed me out so much. I hate that one. It haunts my dreams.
Was that the one with like the pus?
Yeah, where like the brother just like pins the sister to the ground and just squeezes his face.
Oh, I hate that one. Like it's not even scary. It just makes me grossed out. Like
gross. Yeah.
It just makes me queasy. Like there's some that are like so upsetting and disturbing visually, but like you get pus. It's like it's like not to get like too dark, but there's some like extreme horror films out there. A certain one by a man named Lucifer Valentine. If you know what that really not good person has made, and you know what it's, or even if you know the title of his movie, which I feel uncomfortable saying on this stream, that is like every trigger of like just ill nausea possible. Like it's not even scary. It's just gross. Not, like I'm not scared of it. I could look at it and be. It just makes you feel sick. Like
icky. I feel icky, yucky.
No, you cringe a little bit. Anyway, let's keep going.
Ruby Gloom is style, 8 out of 10, very adorable, lots of personality. Quality, 8 out of 10. The animation is really sleek and polished, even if it could be pushed a little more. The characters are 6 out of 10, the voice acting is 6 out of 10, and I give the story a 5 out of 10. It might be its weakest point. If you like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I would suggest checking this show out if you have the time. And that's my list. There are many other shows that were animated in Canada as exported American shows, but I wanted to focus on shows that had Canadian studios involved in production and writing as well. If you like this video, stay tuned for a new video every week. I also live stream on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays, playing video games or hosting my call-in show, The Inferno. And if you're interested in my Discord, that's linked below. We have game nights and movie nights every weekend and would be happy to have you. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
I guess I'm going to have to hit that like button and subscribe.
That like button, man.
I'm already subscribed. Oh, here's that stream. It's right here, guys. You can click on it on the stream. I will say this. So I think like with Canadian animation looked pretty solid. This is these look beautiful. I think especially of all of these, after I rewatch Cybersix again, I really want to take a look at what is it? This one.
Prairies. Each
This
episode
one I think is the
features
one I
3
want to come back
vignettes.
to. Like aesthetically,
That one's a little harder to find because there was a Tyler Perry show called For Better For Worse.
Oh,
So
Tyler
that kind of
Perry.
taints the search results, but it's all on YouTube.
Okay, I gotta
YouTube,
find this.
yeah.
Because this
If
looks.
I,
I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
I'll see if I can find it and link it to you, just so you know.
Please,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love that because this looks so beautiful. Like there's something about the aesthetic that just hits me on the right note. I just love it. Like
It's very cute.
yeah, no, seriously. But beyond that, I do want to bring up a couple other Canadian cartoons that people mentioned again. Ed and Eddie. I think that's the most popular one if you're in a certain age demographic. I feel that one really hits hard. Actually, Crim, I'm gonna let you have this for a second. I have to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Crim, you have the floor. Please don't traumatize them too much. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll only do it a little bit. I'll only traumatize them a little bit. So yeah, there was like a bunch of other Canadian cartoons that I was thinking of including. But in October, I'm going to be doing a video about like spooky cartoons. Like I'm gonna have like a big focus on like horror and like, but also not just horror, but like Halloween-ish and spooky-ish cartoons that aren't scary. I want to make a video like that because not everybody likes scary shows. But there's a couple other ones, and I'll give you guys a sneak preview what I'm thinking of including. Mona the Vampire, Tales from the Crypt Keeper, Freaky Friday. I think it's called Freaky Friday. It's like an Tales from the Crypt Keeper and Freaky Friday are horror cartoon anthologies, and they're really fun to watch. There's a couple other creepy ones. I would have to recheck my list, but like there's a lot of interesting horror-esque and spooky-esque cartoons that were made in Canada. Like Gargoyles, Ruby Gloom, the Beetlejuice cartoon was made in Canada with co-produced in the United States. I deliberately avoided cartoons that were co-produced in the United States just because I didn't want that sort of tainting the opinion of it. I might do another list of like American cartoons that were animated in Canada, but I wanted to keep this purely non-American this time. But I will definitely bring up when things were made in Canada in the cartoons that I talk about and mention, because in like other parts of the world, there were a couple other cartoons that I was thinking about including that I didn't really want associated with my channel for one of my first edited videos. And they're good cartoons. Don't get me wrong, they're good cartoons, but similar to The Adventures of Tintin, but I think worse, is that they're very dated and there are some problems. Though the two that I was thinking of including was Babar and Rupert Bear. Those are really good. I went to go watch Rupert Bear. First episode, there's Yellowface, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable including this in my list. Babar is also really good. It's so sweet. It's so cute. But there's definitely a problem with one of its main themes being colonization and westernization. Because the whole thing is that Babar was like a regular elephant, then went to France, got civilized, and brought westernization back to the elephant kingdom to protect them against poachers. And now they're civilized and they like wear clothes and they're upright and they have their little like French town. There's obviously some xenophobic and racist overtones in Babar. And I'm thinking of doing a video about colonization in Western cartoons. And I would love to like kind of look at Babar and Rupert and even Tintin and a couple other cartoons with a critical lens because these are shows I loved growing up, and I think that they're good quality shows with great stories, but there is that sort of thing in the back of your head that you're like, this is a problem. And I would
one
love
option
to,
you could do with that too is I didn't want to interrupt you. It was really cool.
It's okay.
You're on a good tangent there. I would even say the wild thornberries to an extent could be in that colonization discussion.
Yep.
Even though I love that series a lot, like I do feel like there's always an element of there's always a component. I feel like at least wild thornberries like addresses it a little more overtly than some, because there are parts where like they go in and they think, oh, this undiscovered corner of the world, and meanwhile they have like takeout vehicles and like it's already been touched by colonialism.
Yeah,
but they don't exactly touch. They don't always like grapple with the implications there.
Yeah, I think Babar is another example of like it didn't really grapple with the implications. It was just like, wouldn't it be cute if a little elephant became like human-like? But there is some disturbing implications of like, oh, it would be better if this group of people in I feel like it's probably supposed to be India, just because it was.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like Africa, but like it sounds more Indian. Baroness, thank you for the super chat. Fred's Head to me is what I think of as a good teen Canadian cartoon because of how relatable it felt. Is what got me into art and my job for graphic design. Well, if anything inspired you to pursue a career in graphic design already, that's really cool. What was that?
Fred's Head looks interesting.
Let's bring it up here. Oh yeah, I can see already. This has an aesthetic to it.
It's French, and it wasn't called Fred's Head in Canada. In its original translation, Blaze le Blaze.
That's a good. Oh, Blaze the Blaze. Yeah, I see that right here. It's a nice aesthetic to it. Oh, that's tiny. I guess not good.
Or I guess Blaze le Blaze.
I really dig this though. This has like a real. I actually this looks like a lot.
Getting Daria vibes.
Yeah, Daria is the one I was thinking of too. That crossed with Johnny Test. Honestly, it kind of like a cross between those two. Of course, there were some cartoons that were not so great from Canada. What was the one I was telling you about? They had like all the Japanese anime references. That was like a forbidden memory for me. Like this was like a locked away memory for me, like a core memory of seeing this, where I felt so much cringe upon seeing it that I imploded upon myself. What was it called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like God, what was it called?
This one hurt me on a soul level.
He's like he was like a Canadian cartoon. Yeah. Oh God, hold on. I will find out what it's called.
Yeah, this is gonna drive me nuts because
I know more about the story I think than you're probably conjuring.
Oh, 100%. You definitely know.
I'm just trying character works.
It's not Captain Mikey, I don't think, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was Captain Mikey.
No, My Life Me. That's it. My Life Me. That's it. This one. This.
Oh,
cringe.
that one.
Yeah, no. This was it's on Amazon Prime if you want to see it.
It got 2 seasons.
Cybersix couldn't get 2 seasons. Now, what's
Papa Mikey
what's really interesting
weird.
is I think I have it still. Where are you? Oh yeah, it's right here. 1 second. Let me get something out for you.
Papa Mikey was also weird. It was the idea was that he was like an American
the character designs in My Life Me are very similar to the designs from an old American manga-inspired comic called Dramacon. If you've ever heard of this one, I have the whole thing. It's like you could kill. It's like you can kill a small animal by dropping it on them from a mail chute. But it's the same aesthetic where it's like this might be easier to demonstrate if I actually brought it up on screen. This is like my original copy of it when I was in high school. But let me see where I can get Dramacon. By the way, Crim, you all good there? Because I can't hear what I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, good, awesome. Cool.
Sorry, Yeah, sorry, I was just being quiet and listening to you.
No, I was worried if I did something that to knock you off by accident.
I also linked the Kappa Mikey, which it's got to be Canadian.
It
has that vibe.
Oh yeah. Let me open this up. Ever since the one time I
Oh no, Kappa Mikey was American. Completely. Nicktoons.
There we go. Kappa Mikey. Yeah, ever since the one time I went on IMDb and the commercial ended up being like almost like erotica, I've been like hesitant to open up IMDb ever. Because it was me and Kyla were going over like some bad movies, and she was telling me all these films, and we're looking them up on IMDb, and they start autoplaying the trailer. Think, oh, it's gonna be like a trailer, whatever, and then the trailer becomes like softcore, and I'm like, oh god, no! Click abort. On IMDb, it was ridiculous. Anyway, this is definitely Nickelodeon, yeah.
Something else that I would like to suggest that I think it's overlooked, and it's a cartoon that I'm going to cover when I cover the studio, Martin's Mysteries. I think it's overlooked, but I actually like the show way more than I like Totally Spies.
Oh, we'll do that in a second. But no, take a look at these two aesthetics, right? We have this from My Life Me. And then we have DramaCon.
Ooh, I don't like this.
Same aesthetic, just, more manga-esque here, but it's the same aesthetic. And like it's more obvious with like other shots from the show. It's like, let me get another shot here. Like,
how to draw anime, like it's giving that vibe.
And like the person who worked on DramaCon went on to do some like really prolific work. Like it wasn't like just like the artist was like a one and done. Like she went on to do some like really good like really major stuff in the middle grade sphere, like some New York Times bestsellers. So good for her. I'm not going to try to you have to start somewhere. But her best work was ahead of her, I'll say that. But DramaCon's all right. It's just, it's just cringe because,
Is it one where it was like what was it called? It was like basically the girl version of Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, that's what she did basically after this. Like that's what she worked on after this fact.
What was it called? It was called Dork Diaries.
Dork Diaries. There we go. Yeah. So, so she's worked on things. So Awkward. I look at a lot of stuff that were like, Svetlana Chimakova. She's Russian Canadian. But she's done artwork. She's been up for a couple Eisners. So she's like prolific. She's not like some obscure. She's done things, which is cool. Actually, this actually looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. This book right here looks pretty cool. The Weird books. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I'd be down for that. Again, if I was a kid reading it, that'd be fantastic. But like,
yep.
So she's worked on stuff. That's cool. I'm glad for that. But okay, what was the one you mentioned?
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Martin's Mysteries.
Oh, yeah. No, this looks really cool. I dig this already.
It's got that same sort of anime style. I think it was executed a little bit better than like My Life Me, but it's the same studio that did Totally Spies.
Oh,
I like the show better.
There's crossovers.
Yeah, there is crossovers. Yes, because it's the same studio. But I loved this show way more than Totally Spies. But maybe
Now, I
tend to like.
Now, but here's the real question: did this show inspire half of DeviantArt like Totally Spies did?
I think. Well, there are some because there's like a lot of like it's like that kind of green goop like alien creepy stuff.
That's valid.
Because
I feel
so. Yeah, there's some stuff that happens in there. I would say.
That's fair.
But there's more explanation for it. But there's like some monster transformations. Like there's like so yeah, definitely probably. But it's like makes more sense in the aspect like of a creepy spooky monster thing like
yeah
than it would in like a spy show.
I always found it so here's the thing. I like Totally Spies. I think it's a really, really good cartoon for kids. I think it was a really good cartoon, but like, I feel like, man, a lot of people joke like saying, oh, it was the origin point of all these like weird fetishes, but I don't think that's the case. But like, it just hit at the right time, right?
Yeah. I don't think it was intentional. I think there's like a chicken before the egg situation going on when people say it was intentional.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing also. Like that's the question too. What counts as intentional, right? Like, because you have, with a lot of cartoons, you had that kind of stuff. Like a lot of the stuff in Totally Spies happened in other cartoons at the time. It was just that happened to be like the right cross-pollination of the right factors, the right character designs, the right time block, the right the right cocktail for that kind. I
will also make an admission that there's a bit of a there's a couple problematic elements in it.
There's a few problematic elements in Totally Spies.
We're talking about Martin Mystery right now.
Mystery? Oh, okay, so sorry.
So the male and female lead are, I believe, recent stepbrother and stepsister, and there's a little bit of uncomfortable tension sometimes.
So they pull. Oh, okay. So wait a second. I'm gonna bring up what I think the show sounds like. So stepbrothers tensions, right? That's you describing.
Be careful what you Google search.
Oh, I am very sure I know what I'm Google searching with this one. So what you're saying is, based on how you're describing the show so far, it sounds a little like this.
Oh God. Get out of here, Anthony Moya. Get out of my face. I mean, again, they are very recent step siblings and they knew each other beforehand. But yeah.
Oh wait. Little... I made a mistake then. The recent step siblings, they knew each other beforehand.
Not Lily Orchard has been summoned. Get out of here.
Wait, what?
Lily, get out of... No, not for real, but somebody's like Lily Orchard has been summoned.
So you mean
get
this?
Out of here.
So you mean this?
Yeah, sure. Martin is definitely a butch lesbian. Let's go with that.
Citrus is such a weird show. I kind of love it, but it's so weird. What a bizarre... I'm not sure I'm more upset by having to reference Oremo or Citrus in this episode, but it's one of those. Anyway.
Wasn't Martin obsessed with other girls? Yeah. He was like kind of like a horny teenage, like, get out of here, stop being... Like, he was the boy version of Clover. Like, that was a pretty regular thing, but there was like definitely some intentional... I unlocked memory right there. I remember Martin Mysteries.
Thank you for the super chat. Oh gosh, I remember Martin Mysteries unlocked memory right there. Yeah. Thank Crim for that childhood memory that's been unlocked. But yeah.
But I do intend to cover Martin's Mysteries, and Totally Spies, and I think it was called Galaxy High was another one that they made.
Yeah,
I think it was Galaxy High.
Yeah, let me get that one out. Galaxy High.
I think that's what it was called. No, it's not Galaxy High.
Galaxy High School.
It was...
Maybe?
Was it?
No, it's 86. Wait, what is this?
Hold on, let me go.
Hang on, this is something
Totally
weird. What I just
Spies.
Wait, what is this?
And then it was made by...
What is this? This is unusual. I have no idea what this is. Hang on. Galaxy High School was a 1986 TMS entertainment sitcom on CBS. Lasted for one season, and the one season had only 13 episodes.
I'm trying to find...
it was created by Chris Columbus. So... Oh, and character designers was... John Kay. Okay, so that I feel like I got whiplash. Oh, Chris Columbus. Oh, John Kay. Okay, okay. I guess that's I guess that's something.
I think it was Image Entertainment. Team Galaxy was what it was called.
Which one?
Team Galaxy is the one that I'm thinking of. The Galaxy, like the space themed one.
Oh, this is cool. Hang on, this is really cool, actually. I dig this. I can definitely see the Totally Spies here. Aesthetically, this looks a lot like Totally Spies.
Yeah, they all kind of look very similar.
Oh yeah. No, I see that immediately. I kind of dig these character designs. I'm not gonna lie. This is really cool looking. Again, there's a little bit of an anime-esque inspiration here, but like, I've always been a sucker for like sci-fi animation. So this is great.
Okay, controversial opinion. I think the company is Image Entertainment Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they were a lot more successful in the anime-esque style than the Teen Titans cartoon. Sorry.
Now, Crim.
It looks more natural.
All right, now, Crim. Why would you say something so controversial and yet so brave?
I didn't mind the Teen Titans cartoon, even though it was not accurate to the comic books. I'm definitely not bitter about that at all.
Crim, it sounds like you might be a little bitter, and I think what it has to do with involves a certain number of changes that they made that people have overlooked ever since then.
Well, it's because, okay, here's the thing, is that the Teen Titans cartoon that everybody loves was influenced more by the comic that was coming out at the time called Young Justice. And the Young Justice cartoon that ended up being made years later was more like comic book Teen Titans. Yeah. And this problem means that we're probably never going to get a comic accurate Young Justice cartoon. And I'm a little mad about that. Sorry, but
it's okay.
I just think that they have way more appeal and like potential as like one of those Saturday morning kids cartoons than Teen Titans ever did. I feel like Teen Titans is like late night teen cartoons, I think, with a bit more of like a,
That's kind of when they aired it too, as a late night teen cartoon. At least when they first aired it, it was like on like later at night. I remember there's like the whole big. I mean, when it came on, I was not a teen. I think I was like 10 when it first came on. But like, I feel like as a teenager, I really liked it more than as a kid when I first watched it. I think like also my big issue. Well, again, even though it was heavily more inspired by the Young Justice comic, I would say also that their version of the Judas Contract was pretty good. I think that especially, that and the Trigon stuff, I think the original Teen Titans cartoon did pretty decently.
It's just that they wanted to do both.
Yeah.
And like, especially like that version of Robin is a lot more like Tim Drake than Dick Grayson.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's way more self-serious. He's very like focused on the mission, his job. Whereas Dick Grayson had fun. Dick Grayson,
but like that version of Robin, that was Tim Drake's characterization. And I love Tim Drake, but I wish that they would stop like him, and I just wish that. And this is like a problem with like a lot of comic book characters, where there's like a different version of the character, and they like one of the versions of the character will take on the personality traits of another, and like it gets like blurry. When really, like, the original versions of those characters are nothing like each other at all. Like, Barry Allen is a lot more like, I would say, Steve Rogers than he is Wally West. But now, when we think of The Flash, we think of, like, this smart aleck sort of fast-speaking kind of character.
Which is entirely
That's Wally.
Yeah.
That's Wally. Barry was kind of like, he was kind of naive in a way. One of the jokes was that, like, despite him having super speed, he was late to everything. Kind of all-American boy sort of thing. And then Wally West, he was snappy and sassy, and he was a little bit more dark than Barry was. And yeah.
And I feel also it's interesting is people want the Flash to be more like he is in the Justice League cartoon, from the 2000s. But That was Wally. That was Wally West. But like everyone wants to do Barry Allen because he's the first. Well, not even the first. He's like the most. He's not even the first Flash. But like, no, I agree with you there. And I think another example that would be like with Spider-Man, how MCU Spider-Man has taken so much from Miles Morales' Spider-Man without him being Miles Morales. Right down to like, you know, having a friend. Like Ned Leeds in the MCU is Gonk. His name from Miles Morales' storyline. Whereas Ned Leeds from the original comics was nothing like Ned Leeds in the MCU. In fact, he was the Hobgoblin. Kinda.
Yeah. And this whole thing of like wanting to fit into a team and wanting to like fill like these really big shoes, that was never a Peter Parker thing. Like that was always a Miles thing.
I think that Peter Parker, when he first started in one issue of Amazing Spider-Man, was like, I want to join the Fantastic Four. I'm going to try joining the X-Men. And they're like, no, go away, kid. And then he just gave up. Whereas like Miles Morales is like,
he's not a mutant, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, he went to Xavier and like, I'm an X-Men. Like, no, you're not. Get out of here. Get out of my school.
It was very much like Spider-Man kind of walks to the beat of his own drum, whether he likes it or not. Like he didn't have a team, he didn't have a group that he could fit in with the way that Miles was trying to do later.
Yeah, it's only fairly recently in his history who's ever part of any Avengers lineup, and that was like, I'm talking like mid 2000s early, like. Basically, after Avengers disassembled, he became part of the Avengers team. But before I don't think he was a part of the membership at all.
This is also why Cyborg keeps getting crammed into the Justice League. I have big opinions on that. I think Cyborg, I love Cyborg, by the way. Victor Stone, incredible character. Agreed. I think he works better as a Teen Titans character than he does a Justice League character. And my little conspiracy theory is it's tokenism. They don't want... They're too afraid to put Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern anymore. Because they want Hal Jordan for marketability and recognizability. So they won't put Jon Stewart, who is like a black guy that is a member of the Justice League. So is Martian Manhunter is also like takes on the like his human guise is also black. But they're too afraid to have these less recognizable characters picking up a lot of the screen time. So they put Cyborg, who is recognizable because he's been in the Teen Titans cartoon, and he's black. So you know he's recognizable and he's black. So we're gonna cram into Justice League. Instead of letting actual black characters that were in the Justice League be able to like, hey, let's shine a spotlight onto these people. Sorry, it just annoys me a little bit.
No, I'm with you there. I think it's also pretty telling too. Like the first time they did that was with the New 52 when they relaunched it, and they used that team basically to get people into reading Justice League because they knew people loved Cyborg from the Teen Titans show, and it was a great marketing tool for new younger readers who had grown up with that cartoon to go, oh hey, here's a character you recognize in the Justice League, and. He works better as a Teen Titan because he's a Teen Titan. He is in that age bracket. He is in that setup. And I think like by making him into a Justice League member, it kind of is unfair to him because now he has to become like this. And in the comics, his power creep was very slow. It was very gradual. Like until like he becomes like part of this intergalactic entity essentially and becomes like extremely powerful. Whereas to make him fit in with the Justice League, he has to be like at that power level, like from the beginning. Whereas in the comics, he's slowly coming to understand his power. He's becoming gradually stronger and stronger. And the thing with the Teen Titans is, with the exception of Robin, who has no powers whatsoever. Oh, sorry, Nightwing.
Well, he was Robin at first.
He was Robin at first, yeah. But like all the Teen Titans have these incredible powers, but the limitation is their own self-control over those powers.
Speedy/Red Arsenal also didn't have any powers.
That's true, but Arsenal had other issues he had to overcome.
Yeah, exactly.
And his own demons.
And like, I don't know. I feel that also part of Cyborg's story is that his childhood gets lost and shattered. And I think adultifying him and putting him in with the Justice League, he doesn't get a chance to be a kid anymore. Whereas with the Teen Titans, he gets to be a kid because all these other all these other teenagers are also, they're young, but they're weird, and they're like a little band of misfits, but they get to be teenagers with each other, even though like a lot of them, like Starfire and Beast Boy and Raven and even Dick Grayson and Speedy and Wally West, like a lot of them lost their childhood to either being sidekicks to superheroes, or because some great tragedy happened to them. You know, but they get to be kids with each other.
Oh, 100%. No, it's just great dynamics, and they're just able to like really like get that level of understanding with each other. It's just fantastic. I'm just gonna bring this image over here for reasons. That's no big deal.
I love Dick Grayson.
We got a super chat. Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. I remember seeing a test animation for the DCAU Justice League cartoon where Robin, Impulse, and Cyborg were on the team, and Cyborg was also gender bent. That's interesting.
No, that wasn't Cyborg.
That wasn't Cyborg. What is he referring to? 'Cause I have not seen this.
Justice League.
Don't mind me. I'm just putting up.
You're distracting me.
I'm just bringing up for background visuals. You know, just in general. Nothing important. Don't worry about it.
Intro. I'm trying to remember what her name is, but she's a different character. She was in the comics. I'm trying to remember. Oh, come on. Just give me a second while I do this research.
Oh, don't worry.
I love Dick Grayson.
I'll keep myself
I love
occupied
him.
in the meanwhile. Arms. Just type in Dick Grayson. Oh, here we go. I just type in Dick Grayson. I get the images I'm looking for anyway.
That's
Perfect.
the intro. I'm trying to remember what the character's name was, but I know who you're talking about, but it's not Cyborg.
Oh, and don't worry, Crim. I have your favorite ship on screen. I know it's your favorite.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm a Starfire Dick Grayson shipper. Sorry.
Listen. I, for one, would like to be held the same way Starfire holds Dick Grayson. Here you go. It's okay.
Yippee! If you just search Starfire carrying Nightwing, you'll find like a little collection.
Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for.
There you go.
Here we go. I can knock that off. Yeah, no, this is what I'm talking about. I just need... Crim, this will cure you, right? This is what you're saying?
Yes. Look at all those. She carries him like a little... I don't know. I just love it.
I love it.
She's so strong.
Oh, yeah, no. She is... People don't... That's one thing with the Teen Titans cartoon, I think, is a little annoys me a little bit. As much as I love Starfire in that, like, people don't realize just how powerful she is.
Yeah.
Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. Corey and Dick, OTP. Yeah, that's valid. Like, here's the thing. Like, Dick Grayson is, I guess the easiest way of putting it is he's a twunk. He is a hunk and a twink combined. But, you know.
He's like 5. I think he's like officially like 5'8". He's
pretty small.
He's a gymnast. You know, you got to be kind of small, effective gymnast.
True. And how tall is Corey? Like she's got to be like what?
He's like 6'2", 6'4", or something like that.
She's taller than me. Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's not including the hair.
The hair is an extra few inches right there.
Yeah. Which
is valid. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I kind of love it. I love these. I love both. The thing is with Dick Grayson, I kind of ship both. I really can't choose a side with them. You hear that, Crim? I can't pick a side. Is that shocking to you?
Yeah.
No, no. Typical unbiased bi behavior. No, so I just really dig both ships with Dick Grayson. I just like Dick Grayson in general. It really annoys me. You only hear my hot take with Dick Grayson. I really don't like how the films have been cowards and have refused to bring Dick Grayson back.
I mean, I will say that Okay, so I believe that the female character is actually Natasha Irons.
Oh.
Not a female cyborg. It looks more like her. Yeah, I think it's her.
Okay. Mine's just that mystery anyway. Oh, people are saying...
I sent you the image, and yeah.
I'm bring it up real quick.
Not the image. I sent you the pilot animation.
Ooh, cool. I'll play it later. I don't want to play it right here on YouTube in case Warner Brothers
yeah.
gets angry at me, which they have been prone to do. So I won't do that.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You know, I had thankfully I haven't had anyone I haven't had any like issues with that in a while, but there've been occasions where like they've been a little angry, but thankfully,
yeah.
And this is a good hint for you in the future too, in case this ever happens with you. When I first started off, I was messaging. I was going to start off making video essays, and I got thankfully, the person who reached out to me was Pillar of Garbage, and he gave me the most useful YouTube video essay advice I've ever received from anything. If you're gonna include a clip from a show, cut it off after 9 seconds.
Okay, notable.
Yeah, that's
I got that the one we just watched that was claimed.
I bet.
I hope that this doesn't get claimed, but also as soon as I was like, hey, I'm using this, fair use, please release the copyright, they did after like one day.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually good with that, but that was just one piece of advice where he was like,
9 seconds, gotcha.
Cut off at 9 seconds. That's when they stop looking. Crossy Hossy, thank you for the super chat. Your 5th one is pretty incredible. I want to say that I really like your recent video about Canadian cartoons, Crim. It reminded me of a really chill and cozy old YouTube video where someone talks about something they like. 100% agree with that. Like,
that's the kind of stuff that I want to do.
Yeah, 100%. Like the thing is, and like with my channel, people have talked a little bit about like, oh, the Lily video is very negative. Like, I agree. I don't like doing that too much. Like on occasion, sure, but like the next couple of weeks are going to be things I just love. In fact, all of October is going to be things I love with Halloween and stuff.
Me too. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff that I love in October. I'm going to be focusing on spooky stuff.
Oh, 100%. In fact, Crim, I think I'm dragging you into at least one of these projects, right? I'm doing for Halloween?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I sent a bunch of messages to people I've worked with in the past, friends, and said, hey, I'm dragging you into a bunch of Halloween projects. You have no choice. Get ready for this. And they're like, okay, I guess I'll do it. Among other things, too. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I guess I'll show you all what's coming down the pipe this weekend. This Friday. I'm working on this currently. I have the next 2 videos I've already started working on. They're both in the same spot of completion, but this I'll release first. I'm going to show you the thumbnail for this. This thumbnail was done by Lines in Motion, who's a really great YouTuber.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, it's a topic. It's gonna be a topic.
I'm excited.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And point with Tim Drake before was they'll come up into play here, and I'm also going to go into an old article I wrote years ago as well as part of the discussion about bisexual Spider-Man. Nikosi G, thank you for the super chat. Shout out to David Zavimbe. I can never say his name correct. The first Batwing. Misham. Yeah, Batwing was another great character too. Like I feel like that's another character who does not get enough credit in anything today. It's disappointing. But yeah, no, Batwing is great. The Bat Family, I think Batman is better with his Bat Family.
Yep.
Than without
Absolutely.
it. And okay, so Crim, while I still have you here, what's your opinion on the Christopher Nolan Batman movies?
I think they ruined Batman.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. I mean, I'm a little softer on them than that, but I have a lot of beef with Christopher Nolan's Batman films. I think they're really great films. Okay, I think
not
two
good
of
Batman
them,
films though. I studied the Christopher Nolan Batman films in college, actually, as like a good example of great filmmaking, and he is very talented as a filmmaker, but not a good Batman movie.
No, I think the best Batman movie he did was Batman Begins, and
that was okay.
Again, that's the best one he did. As a Batman film, I think everything else is a great crime thriller, but like they're like Heat. It's like watching Heat. It almost felt he was embarrassed of making Batman, but the thing that pissed me off the most was Robin. that almost ruined The Dark Knight Rises for me. That and Talia al Ghul, but I digress.
Now, Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah.
Can I talk about that for a second?
Go for it.
If you know much about film production, now the Matt Reeves, the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, like it's a hot button topic, I think. But if you are familiar with film production and are familiar with the Christopher Nolan Batman films, that movie is a fuck you to Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
Big middle finger rubbing it all over his face. Not just because it's so antithetical in theme, and I've like spurred about this a little bit in the past. But where Christopher Nolan has very like symmetrical, boxy sort of framing.
Oh yeah. No.
You look at the Matt Reeves film and it's Baroque almost. You know, like you have like one of the greatest examples of this is, and this is the moment, it just kind of accumulates in this moment where Batman is like waist deep in water and he's leading the people out of the darkness like with this torch, and it's supposed to be like, you know, darkness isn't enough. Like look at that, look how Baroque that is, where you've got like this flow of people and the light, and it's like it's so antithetical to everything Christopher Nolan ever did with Batman. I think
clean and well lit, and even like, okay, so there's nothing too with that whole thing. Even looking at the bat suit, right? You can see the difference. Like the bat suit in
it's so chunky. Yeah.
Dark Knight. Let me get this up. So a visual comparison of the two bat suits. This is perfect. Okay, cool. So actually, no, that's not good. This is actually a better look at this, since they're both how they want to be seen. So side by side, let me move my face so I'm not so big in the way.
Yeah, the color palette, everything is meant to be in opposition to Christopher Nolan's films, and I think it works
100%
so well. And it's that whole like, you know, vengeance is not enough. You know, you have to also be like a beacon of hope for the people.
And the thing also is with here's the thing also that I think personally gets me about the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman versus Nolan's Batman. Matt Reeves' Batman's actually a detective. He is.
Yep.
He's not as the thing is, like, in his combat scenes he's a little sloppy at times, but also it makes sense. He's just starting off. He makes physical mistakes. Like he's again just getting in. He's running on no sleep. Whereas Nolan's Batman was perfectly choreographed in that every single fight felt like they had practiced a few hours before they started and were making sure they hit their marks in the right way. Whereas the Batman is raw. It's unpolished. It feels like realistic.
I love that also like the Batmobile. It looks so patched and put together, just like how Batman would make it. He had all of these resources with Wayne Industries, but he had to build the car himself. And how it's treated as like a monster as well, where like that it's put in the trailer, but it's such a good scene where the Penguin thinks he got away, and then like the Batmobile just emerges from the flames, and he's like, oh,
like
shit.
A massive pile-up accident. Out of the rubble comes this massive muscle car.
It's like this indestructible, like, shithouse of a car,
and
it's
probably
so. It looks like it too.
It's also probably the smallest Batmobile in the films, but it feels so giant.
Yeah, instead of being like this sporty, sleek muscle car, it's like this brick shithouse that is patched together, and I love it.
I think personally, my favorite Batmobile is still the Tim Burton Batmobile. Personally, but I just like the aesthetic of Tim Burton. That one was just cool.
You're such a boy.
But that's the aesthetic of it. I love the aesthetic that Tim Burton has for Batman because it is so gothic. It is so inspired by that mentality. But
can I read your super chat?
Oh yeah, read the super chat. The guy, thank you again for the super chat. You can read it though.
Reeves' Batman leads the people out of the darkness. Nolan's Batman leads an army of cops.
Yeah, in the daylight. I hate the last 30 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises. It is some of the most uncomfortable, and it doesn't even look good. It's so dumb. Like, Batman leads a charge into Scranton Rogue of the Silver Trio. Welcome as a member. I'm going to repost the link to my Discord in the members tab after this, by the way. So you can join the Discord after the stream ends. No,
also, the Riddler in Reeves' Batman is supposed to be a representation of the people that idolize the Joker in the Nolan films.
Yeah, 100%. Because
so good.
Reeves deals with so many clever ideas in this one movie. And is Reeves a perfect director? No. There's some things that he does that I'm like a little iffy on. But like what he gets right, he gets so right.
I also think that the song choice, I love Nirvana, and I love Something in the Way, but not a good choice, because Something in the Way by Nirvana is about a homeless man that's basically been like rejected by society. Not really an appropriate theme song for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, no. It sounds good until you like think about it. It is one of those songs I do adore, but it does not totally make sense. But Nirvana makes sense for Bruce Wayne, but maybe not that.
Maybe not that one.
The sound of the song makes sense, but not the subject matter.
Yep.
But also I think that the choice to focus on, I do love how in Matt Reeves' movie you have the first time since the 60s that the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, and Joker are all in one movie. Like there's something about that feels so right. Even if Joker is like the most minor of minor roles, like it just feels like it fits like what Batman is. And I know Reeves wants to make the Penguin series. I want to see. I'm excited for that. I know that Reeves. Nikosi, thank you for that super chat that has nothing in it. Oh, that's cool, man. I really appreciate that. That's really sweet of you. No, I love how. I want to see him tackle some unusual villains. I would love to see Freeze. I would love to see Clayface, but I just don't think we're going to get them. But I would love to see Clayface and Mr. Freeze.
Did you see The Caped Crusader?
I did. Yeah, I've just finished it a few weeks back.
So fucking good. It's so good.
So good. I've seen people like get upset over that series, which I'm kind of stunned by. Like, I saw a lot of people who were really negative on it, but I'm like watching it. I'm like, this is really solid. Like, I'm really digging everything about this. Like, but like, and I was reading somewhere that they wanted to make it feel like a Universal monster film, like a classic 40s kind of aesthetic where it's like, and that hits. And of course, there's always the reaction where it's like, oh no, they had lesbians in it. Renee Montoya and Harley Quinn aren't straight. The horror.
They've never been straight.
It's like, oh no, Renee Montoya isn't straight. Think of the children. Also, can I just point out something about that? I love the character design for these characters. Like, I just love how the aesthetics of it. Like, I love how they have, and this is, I'm trying not to spoil it for if you haven't seen it yet, but I personally
Catwoman so good.
This is like peak Catwoman design and peak Catwoman personality. I just love everything about this Catwoman, and not just because it's Christina Ricci, though that is a huge factor. I just
Also,
I'm sorry.
if you don't mind me shilling my art for a second.
Oh no, what do you want me to show?
I redesigned the Batgirls, like all 3 of the Batgirls a while ago, and I want to say I was ahead of my time.
Open
This
in the
one,
browser. Do you want me to open this in the browser?
Sure. I'm just saying that I was cooking a little bit, and they ended up making Barbara Gordon black. I'm just saying.
Hey, that's a fair. That works, and
that art was made in 2017.
Oh, I
so
love
I'm just
this.
saying, I was cooking with that one. Like I saw something. I knew it was coming down the pipeline.
Hey, there you go. And with the Batgirl movie that never came out too, you were cooking with that too. Can I just add something real quick?
Yep.
Stephanie Brown.
I love Stephanie.
She is like perpetually in just like never given the credit that never given what she deserves.
Well, also, like, the young, cute Batgirl, that's Stephanie. That's another example of people taking another character's personality traits and putting it on another. Like, Barbara Gordon is more Stephanie Brown now than she's Barbara Gordon. And it drives me nuts.
100%.
I love Stephanie Brown.
Stephanie Brown's amazing. Nick Wolf.
Same with her relationship with Robin.
Oh,
right? Like, her relationship...
I want to get in that in a second, but let me first read a super chat, because I've been, with my video I've been working on, I've been like stuck in that headspace too.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of thoughts on that as well. Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. Cape Crusader slaps. Still hoping one day you'll do a reaction to Mr. Enter's review of Cape Crusader, and unlike Star Wars Theory and Mueller, it'll at least be interesting. Yeah, I kind of was wanting to do that too. That was one I might end up doing just because I feel like way more than, oh my god, that was that Star Wars video was so disheartening. Like, that really just like drained me. So I don't know if I'd ever do anything with Star Wars Theory ever again, because that was like soul sucking. But
yeah, that was hard to watch. Dude.
It was hard to do.
I watched that one after the fact, and I was like, oof.
Dude, this was pain. That was my mistake. I didn't even bother to watch the videos first. I was thinking, oh, react live on stream would be great. And I'm like, no, this hurts me. Like, it was such petty. And people are still giving Star Wars Explained like shit over this, like a week later. Like, it's just like for nothing. It was just a nothing. It was such a nothing burger of a controversy.
Yeah.
But no, Stephanie Brown.
You'll notice that like Barbara wears this uniform. Yeah, the purple Batgirl uniform is Stephanie.
Yeah, the colors.
Not Barbara.
Like, let me bring this up. There's a lot of tabs here.
Like, Barbara's original like Batgirl uniform just looked like. It was just Batman's, but you know.
No, yeah, it's like, where's the one cover? There's the one famous cover of. Well, I mean, this kind of gets it too. This is it right here. Yep, this is the cover. Like, one of the most well-known Batgirl cover. It's like, so Stephanie Brown, Barbara, Stephanie.
Yep.
Barbara, and this came out.
That just looks like a redheaded Stephanie.
Exactly, like it, aesthetic-wise, face-wise, design-wise. Because like Barbara Gordon, she was never really drawn like this teenage fashion either. Like she looks very young here, like extra young, and like very, very, slim, and very, very like petite, and very, very like youthful,
kind of girly,
and girly.
Yeah.
Whereas before in the comics, she was drawn like a woman, like very. Like, let me get an image of what I'm talking about. Gordon.
80s, maybe?
No, I would say 90s. Like, oh, here's a good example. No, that's a little too small. Well, even like as Batgirl, like right here, this is a great example. Like, she was drawn like more statuesque. That's too big. Like, she was drawn more as a statuesque figure. Like, she was very, like...
Yep. She was a woman.
Yeah, she was a woman. Like, fully grown, more maturely drawn. Like, not, like, old, but, like, mature. And here she looks like, very buff. Like, very strong looking. Here, very petite. And again, characters get redesigned. That's fine. But
she was, like, a professional athlete. She was a university graduate. She... I think at one point she was working for the government. Like, and yeah.
And as Oracle,
I don't know, it's a bummer.
as Oracle, she had the same thing going on. Like she was, like again, very famously. This is of course a little, like very stylized, but like she had this very like mature, very like
librarian vibes.
Librarian, but you can tell she's like,
Barbara, what the hell are you looking at on screen?
Girl. Okay. Actually, she's having. I'm pretty sure that's Black Canary, but
no, yeah, it's absolutely Black Canary. Like it's like a definitely like a
an action shot.
It's the Birds of Prey. Like this is obviously from Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah,
where she's
But still,
I'm just saying, girl, what are you doing? The freeze frame.
Yeah. Whereas again, here, again, very youthful, very like early. Like this is like 2011, 2012, so like early.
Yeah, she looks like she's 15 or 16 there.
Yeah, no, she looks very young. And here again, that's Stephanie Brown. That was her whole thing. Like it just feels like they took the best elements of Stephanie and gave them to Barbara.
Yeah, we're so off topic right now.
Yeah, but you know what? do you want to talk about this? Would you rather talk about
My Life Me?
No, exactly. Like Wayne Family Adventures. I feel they get the character. I feel like the Wayne Family Adventures has like the best. Oh God, yeah. No, this is. You see, this is Stephanie right here. This is Stephanie's true. This is her true aura. This is peak performance right here for Stephanie Brown.
I feel like the Wayne Family Adventures is the version of the Bat Family that the fandom wants, and it's like the good and the bad of that.
Yeah, no, there's pluses like sometimes and minuses.
Sometimes it's very flanderized, but sometimes it's fun. Also, giving Jason Todd his little white forelock, always big-brained.
Oh yeah,
I miss that in this character design.
No, 100%, I love that, and I love how like again they have Barbara in the wheelchair. They have. Damien is clearly biracial. Stephanie Brown is like has all this, and of course you got Cassandra, who is just. Oh no, another character.
I'm so sad that she gets forgotten.
Yeah, always. I mean,
because if you're talking about a character that could take over the mantle of Batman, it's Cassandra Cain. She's an ex-Batman.
Cassandra Cain is the best fighter in the DC universe.
Well, she's also the most like Bruce, I think.
Most determined, most diehard, and I love one thing I love about Cassandra Cain's like early comics as Batgirl is like they treat her inability to speak as like an actual disability, and they don't sugarcoat it. They show like Barbara getting very frustrated trying to teach Cassandra like these basic things, and it's just her brain's not like wired the right way because of her years of abuse from her father. Yeah, and like, but they don't sugarcoat it like the overly sympathetic response. Like no, like they get frustrated with each other, and it's like it's a frustrating experience, but that's kind of beautiful in its sense because it's more real to the experience of both being invisibly disabled and treating someone who's
It's very like inspired by like a mom adopting a girl that's grew up in an abusive home, and that's not easy, and it's not the child's fault, and it's not the mom's fault. It's hard to be patient like that, and it doesn't really villainize either of the characters. It just kind of explores how complicated that is for both of them.
It's just real is what it is. We do have a super chat right now from the guy. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, we have another super chat too shortly after. So first the guy. Oh, I can bitch for hours about how DC screwed over Tim, Steph, and Cass for years. Oh, 100%. And Nick Wolf, thank you for the super chat. I remember reading Barbara's 60s debut and loved how her regular outfit switched to her superhero outfit. Skirt became a cape, purse into a utility belt, etc. Yeah, utilitarian, very simple, very effective. I love that stuff. And and Tim Drake especially. I am bitching about that in the fucking video I have coming out on Friday. This sad twink boy here, gets like he gets like screwed by DC editorial so often. Well, first off, he clearly has feelings for Connor Kent. Like,
don't get me started on that. And they tried to give like, well, you wanted Superboy and Robin to be bisexual. They're just not going to be the right Superboy, and it's not for each other.
No, yeah, 100%. And who the hell is Bernard? Like, who cares about Bernard, right? I know Bernard's a character who's in the comics before that. I know that, but like, who gives a shit about Bernard? Does anyone ever say, you know, my favorite character is Bernard? Like, no one cares.
I feel
about him.
I feel like the Young Justice Boys, Impulse, Superboy, and Robin are like every gay best friend group.
Right? Like, and they have so much more chemistry and like history with each other, and like the dynamic is there. One thing that bugs me, and this is, you know, and I've done multiple videos about like queer rep in comics, so this is not coming from someone who's like, you know, oh, how dare they make these characters gay and bi, you know, that it's not that perspective. It frustrates me how their love interests are always so bland. Like, the reason why Hulkling and Wiccan are so beloved by comic book fans is because they're both actual characters.
Yeah, like, why are we so afraid of making the gay love interests both superheroes? Like, you know, we can, like, it's just frustrating.
And even if they're not superheroes, like, make them like a part of their lives. Like, I know with John Kent, they've started to make his boyfriend more of like a relevant character in his life, which is good. I prefer that. But like Bernard just feels like such an accessory, and he's barely, even when he's in a story and it's about him, he's not even like the figure that's most important to that story. Like, he's so tertiary. And there's the one story I was just rereading for this video where Tim Drake talks to Stephanie Brown about his bisexuality, and like the story centers Stephanie. Like, it doesn't center Tim Drake. It doesn't really center Bernard at all. It centers Stephanie's feelings, which, you know, fair. It's one of the few times Stephanie is like centered in any story. But like, it just felt like the conflict was drama because he was bi, and not just simply, hey, these characters are going through something and it's on there. Even like the Wayne family adventures, like the first time I bring in Bernard, it's like Tim Drake having bi panic and going to cool gay aunt Batwoman for advice on how to be gay. But like, which is fine, that's cool. But like, he's not even centered in that story. And it's like a story, and that's a series that's like all about centering characters who aren't often centered in like the mainstream comics.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's so like tertiary to anything going on in these storylines. Like, even compared to previous love interests. It's kind of remarkable. And like, I think with DC also, they think that they have to, in order to be visibly bisexual, they have to be with someone of the same gender, when you can have them just pine after people and be flustered by someone, but like still with a partner who they have so much chemistry with, which is Stephanie Brown and Tim. I don't know. I love the bi rep. I like the bi visibility. That's cool. But like, I feel like they're prioritizing showcasing this over telling a good love story. And that, I feel like they're almost afraid to write the love story, because they're afraid they're going to upset someone if they don't do like perfect rep.
Well, they want the rep, but they don't want the story.
Yeah, and you have to have that story, otherwise it's going to be artificial.
Well, it's literally tokenization, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I want to be fair, because I know, like, again, like, having talked to people who like studied comics for like decades, and they see all this, the broad scope of history. On one hand, we are so lucky to be living in an era where any of this is happening. But like, at the same time, it's like, it feels very tokenizing in so many ways. And the moment it's inconvenient, they drop it like a bad habit.
Now, can I kind of like, I feel like we're kind of edging on this topic. Do you mind if we kind of bring this back to a topic that kind of inspired the video that I made that we featured on this episode? And I think maybe a little bit inspired the video you're making. Not maybe not inspired, but influenced. So it's very, my video at least is very nakedly a response to a certain Lily Orchard.
I guess I'll bring up the visual, the outside of it. Not like I'm not going to put on the video because
let's not. We don't need to watch that video.
No, but this is it right here. I did have to get clips for it for my recent video. But yeah,
so
the forgotten gaze of Western animation.
Yeah. So like, speaking of tokenization and Canadian cartoons, here's my big fat opinion. I think that characters like Cybersix that are featured as main characters that you delve into throughout the entire show are more important to the LGBT community than some throwaway fucking like stereotype that only appears briefly for one episode. What
was it, the brace face example?
The brace face example and like the 16 example and also even the Void in Space example. These are all throwaway characters that nobody cares about.
No, yeah, they're just there for 5 seconds.
When I think of like the cartoon characters that really influenced me when I was a young person and made me feel more comfortable in being who I am, it wasn't characters like this.
No.
It was Cybersix and another character called Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet.
I was going to say, I feel like Jim Hawkins is a lot of queer people love Jim Hawkins.
Yeah, because like it's what his story is about, and a lot of like Alan Menken and Howard Ashford's characters and the songs that they wrote about wanting to fit in, and like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo, another great example of like being weird about like, well, it's just subtextual, so it doesn't count. Like, I would prefer subtext of a character that exists for the entire show that I can relate with over fucking Dion any day of the week, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like another thing too is they're not really characters, they're more like stand-ups. And for anyone in chat who doesn't know what we're talking about, because no one saw this video. This was not...
How many views? Ooh,
16.
Ouch.
16,000. Which, hey, that's good if you're a channel like...
if you're a channel like me.
Like for us, that's decent size. It's, that's 16,000. That's not bad. But we also don't have a silver play button. You know, she does, and she's had it for a while. Like, again, I'm not gonna. So my videos don't get that high, so I can't pretend like, that's nothing. It's a decent if you're in your first year like us, or you have like a channel that has under 50,000, that's good. But like for Lily, she has 3 times that. She has 140,000, which I think is reflective of what we talked about before, but her channel's not exactly doing so well, but I digress. Nick Wolf, thank you, super chat. Imagine Lorch, he just claims just for showing thumbnail. Imagine Lorch copyright claims just for showing thumbnail. So I think I figured out the meta for Lily's copyright strikes. She follows old school Channel Awesome rules, where if you have 20% of 20% of your content is someone else's material, it's fair use. Less than that, it's fair use, but above that, it's copyrightable. Yeah. I think Lily convinced herself that this is actually a real law. It's not. Channel Awesome was wrong when they did this. they were incorrect. They didn't understand copyright law, and almost everyone has involved, even Doug Walker, afterwards admitted that they screwed up that. But I think she just believes that's like the law of fair use when that's not the case at all.
Yeah, and like, I think it's also such an awful way to look at cartoons, is to go mining for representation.
Oh yeah.
Even if you like are watching a show and you're like, oh my god, this is giving me vibes, that's one thing. But if you're like,
oh, 100%.
You can't tell me that Lily Orchard was fondly rewatching Braceface.
No.
And then like stumbled across Dion. She went looking for Dion.
She had to dig for it.
She had to dig for both of those characters.
And what's funny is if she...
Cybersix is right fucking there.
Yeah, and what's funny is if she just watched anime, none of this would be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up this article right here by this no one.
But this is about
what do you
Western
know?
cartoons.
Oh, what do you know? Oh, it's so unusual.
Yeah.
Who wrote this?
I mean,
know.
one of in Sailor Moon specifically, like Sailor Moon as a character, it's less. It's very okay. It's very like it's very like subtextual of the character, but like the first like Sailor Moon has a lot of POV villain characters, and freaking Zoocyte is one of the first POV villain characters we get, and he's literally gay.
Very gay, extremely excessively, very overtly gay. Like
yeah, so
like so clearly gay. Like, and this is just one of multiple characters. And like then you get Sailor Uranus and Neptune. You want to talk about censorship before? That's an example of censorship.
Okay, so something interesting about so I did some research actually because I really want to make this is one of my big fat projects that's down the pipeline that I really want to talk about eventually, and Uranus is going to be part of this conversation about transmasculine characters. And how they're depicted, and the way that Sailor Uranus. This is a criticism of mine towards this. So Sailor Uranus and a lot of characters that fit this archetype are very much inspired by what is known in Japan as onabe. And onabe, it's kind of like a complicated term.
Yeah,
they're very much described as like men that were born as women, or people that have the bodies of women but the hearts of men, or they're both male and female, which is how Uranus describes themselves. And you know, Uranus uses a lot of masculine personal pronouns when talking about themselves. And we don't really capture that in where it's like masculine, but it's not specifically male. It's complicated.
Yeah, because like those like kind of pronouns to refer to oneself, they're not like gendered necessarily. They're more like associated with vibes. Essentially, is the best way of putting it. I guess.
Now,
I can put it
if you're interested in this topic, I would recommend the 1995 documentary Shinjuku Boys. It was very eye-opening for me. And if you watch it, you'll notice that like a lot of anime characters that have that sort of like non-binary vibes are based on, especially if they're, you know, if the anime or manga is made by a woman, is very clearly heavily inspired by these people, because they often work as sex workers. They take like Sailor Uranus is basically just one of these people, where it's like, oh, they're always dressed in suits and they take the girls out on dates, and it's all about like living this kind of masculine fantasy, and they like that they embody this like male female like dichotomy, because and this is kind of how trans men are often seen as in the West when we're seen as like dateable people. It's that like, well, they're not as dangerous as cis men, they're safe. So I can sexualize them without that fear of them mistreating me. So that's like it's the fetishization, I think, to a point. This characters like Uranus and like the Sailor Starlight, and it's something that frustrates me a lot because it's from a woman's perspective. And I do appreciate the queer representation, but I like question the I question the reasons that they were included in there and what they were inspired by.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And I think that's a fair criticism. I'm also seeing people discuss in the comments mentioning Class S fiction. You're familiar with that term too, right? Class S fiction?
Class S?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole other, and that's another can of worms with queer rep in Japan.
Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable because it's kind of the opposite of how we see gayness and queerness in the Western world, where it's like, oh, it's very mature, it's kind of inappropriate, it's sexual, like Whereas in Japan, it's seen as childish and something you have to grow up and like put it aside.
Like a phase.
Like a phase, but it's almost like encouraged in young people because it's like an innocent, pure kind of love that's separated from adulthood and sex.
And what's interesting too is a lot of the people who were early pioneers of class S fiction were themselves queer. Like a lot, like I think the writers of the early class S fiction. I forget her name. I mentioned it in the one my first video of all things. Actually, she was a queer woman. She was a woman who lived with a roommate for many years with one bed in the apartment, and they were it was kind of an open secret that they were living together, but no one really, they didn't ask questions, they didn't want to impose, but everyone kind of knew. But people took that writing and took it in a different direction. They saw it less as a tragic story of young love and more like a phase, and it became like a big thing in Japan too, especially in the 20s and 30s. We have a super chat from Terminal Sanity. Thank you once again for the super chat. The great thing about subtext is that it lets a lot of people from different groups who all feel marginalized connect with the same characters and often with each other through those characters. And yeah, that's very true. I think that's one of the reasons why the X-Men has had such longevity. And again, why so many queer people do come back to certain anime despite some of these more cultural problematic elements, because again, every culture has problematic components. You can never romanticize anything.
Now, people like Lily will be like, it would be so much better if you just made them gay or you just made them black. But here's the thing: there are gay, bisexual, queer, non-binary, and black X-Men. So, argument invalid.
One of the most famous X-Men is black. Storm. Like,
yep.
You can't get more iconic than Storm. I mean, I guess you can with Wolverine, but
Kitty Pryde, bisexual.
Kitty Pryde is very bisexual. Again,
Deadpool, pansexual.
Deadpool, Mystique. Not just bisexual, but also can change gender. And not just on a physical, chemical level as well. Now with Nightcrawler, even Wolverine, in some alternate continuities, marries Hercules.
Somebody says gay men versus lesbians Japan in a way. No, I would say that gay men are also, like, as long as they're young enough, it's cute. It's kind of it's on both sides of it. Once you get older, if you're still gay, you're corrupted, you're broken, etc., etc. Like, you're not gonna be able to fill the role you're meant to fill as an adult. And not to bring it back to our favorite topic too much, but Evangelion.
Yes,
it was perfectly acceptable and considered cute and endearing for Shinji to have a crush on Kaoru. That was perfectly fine. But Kaoru dies. Also, even in the rebuild, even though their destinies are intertwined and they like have this special love with each other, Shinji puts it aside to be with freaking Mari of all fucking people.
The most boring love interest possible.
It's okay, and it's good actually, and it's like there's a purity to the relationship between Kaoru and Shinji, but Shinji eventually has to like leave Kaoru behind and marry a woman, Yeah,
but I mean, in the manga though,
in the
manga he ends up with Asuka, which is
same thing.
Better.
I mean, like I like the Asuka and Shinji relationship as well. It's probably my second favorite pairing for Shinji.
Yeah.
Don't care too much for Rei and Shinji. That's weird also.
That feels strange to me. I don't like
Rei's a little boring if you ask me. She's the easiest character to like. She's not very complicated, she's very likable.
That's the issue too. Like, Rei is so, in so many ways. I mean, I've softened on Rei over the years. Like, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I'm like, oh, Rei sucks. She's terrible. Like, she's just a plot device and there's nothing to her. Yeah. But like, as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, actually, that's a little harsh. But
yeah, she's fine as a character. She's just not very complicated,
and she's not very interesting. Like, there's an angle to her where I'm seeing the comments saying that Rei's autism coded. Yeah, that's a fair read of her, but like,
so is Kaoru, honestly.
So is most of the cast. Let's be perfectly blunt.
Yeah. Well, it's because Ano's pulling from his own experiences, and I don't think that man is neurotypical. I'm sorry.
What?
There's something going on in his brain.
Have you ever read the manga that his wife made about him?
God. Yeah. Jesus, I think I did.
Let me find. I'm just I can find a clip of the manga about Hideaki Anno. Some of it is just like, insufficient direction. There we go. Let me type this down. Insufficient.
Somebody says, I feel like part of why Lily disliked almost every anime in existence because they seldom include much Western standards in their material.
Wait, what was that one?
I feel like part of why Lily dislikes almost every anime in existence is because they seldom include much Western standards for their material.
Well, then she would love Trigun. Like Trigun is so westernized that because the mangaka of that loves Spider-Man, he gave Vash Stampede a big red cape and named one of his adversaries Monev. Chat, spell Monev backwards. And that's spelled Monev. What does Monev backwards say? And he's introduced pumping iron in the dark, wearing putting on a big black purple suit with a face mask on it with like fangs. It's not subtle.
But also, I very intentionally included some of the Canadian cartoons that I included were things that I feel like Lily Orchard would like, that speak to her sensibilities.
Oh yeah.
For better or for worse, something that Lily would like. I think it's vignettes. That's how she writes most of her stories. It's character focused.
Slice of life.
It's like the perfect thing for someone like Lily. I don't know if she'll ever watch that episode that I made, or if she'll take my suggestions, but
she's too arrogant is the problem. Like she'll see. And the problem is that she judges everything with like a knee-jerk reaction. If it's something associated with something she doesn't like she didn't even like. I got so many comments on the most recent video of people like saying, "Oh, it's a joke list where people have sex while doing a kazoo," and it's like, what are you talking about?
That's a second list that she made to kind of muddy the waters so that people, every time somebody was like, what about that list? She'd be like, oh, you mean this one? It was made as a joke. And it's like,
no, I don't mean that one.
That's not the list we're talking about. But it's something that she can present to her fans as like, see, it was a joke all along, but she made two. She made two lists, and she's lying to you if you're a Lily Orchard fan, just so you know.
Yeah, and like if you watch my video, you can easily see that it's not the same thing she's describing. Like, I even included clips of her recent videos just to prove that she still is saying this. Half of the clips that I used came from that gay rep video. So within the last week of posting my video, she was saying the same things in that list. So it's like, and it's a shame because there's so many actually good shows that she could actually enjoy and watch and not be like overwhelmed by if she just listened to her supposedly her critics. Like she just wants to demonize everyone else. It's sad. It's more really depressing. Like it makes me sad to think about it. That's the reason why I'm like, you know what, with this last one, I don't, unless she does something like really dramatic, I don't want to really touch the topic all that much.
I haven't been watching her. I'm only going to watch her if she's covering a topic I care about. Agreed. I'll probably watch her coffin video, and I think she's also working on another Kingdom Hearts one. I'll probably watch those.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts one I might give a response to because like that's like Kingdom Hearts. I feel like that's a topic that I like just happen to know more about, and even it'd be more in the capacity of Kingdom Hearts than like her specifically. Like it's the problem is she just repeats herself every single time. It's really depressing. Like she just can't grow past anything. Like I personally find it very sad. Like I feel like you're kind of. I mean, obviously she's done some terrible things, and that's horrible. But like
like that's originally not why either of us wanted to cover her, though.
No, it's more her opinions and perspectives.
Yeah, and like the fact that now I watched a video today. I went back into the Lily Orchard vault and I watched a video today, and she says on this video, I'm not going to say which video it is, but but she says that she intentionally uses that is an affect that she puts on that voice because she knows that it appeals to viewers more. And that's one of her greatest aspects, and that's what people compliment on her the most, is her voice.
Like her tone, like how she phrases things, like that.
Yeah, she said that
kind of sound.
that yeah, because and she very clearly actually she says mouth melty voice that so many people that you often associate with, like she was calling out Jenny Nicholson's voice. So she was making fun of Jenny Nicholson's voice while saying that, like, this is the voice that like, this is the better voice. It's authoritative. It sounds so final. And that's what my viewers want. That's what they're looking for. And it's like, so your opinions, not so much? I don't know. It was very strange.
Well, that's actually very interesting because, like, that's something a lot of cult leaders do. Like, they want to sound authoritative without actually saying anything meaningful. Like, so... If you ever watch... The
reason that I compare her to Ben Shapiro isn't fucking transphobia. It's because her and Ben Shapiro have the same goddamn tactic, and it drives me crazy. They're not saying anything important.
Well,
you didn't know that, chat? You guys didn't know that she's had beef with Jenny Nicholson for years?
Oh, yeah, no. She's had a beef with a lot of people. She's also attacked ContraPoints. She's attacked Lindsay Ellis. She's attacked Sarah Z, especially. She's had a lot of.
I mean, I don't like Sarah Z either, but
again, it's not even like who specifically. It's more like the fact that it's such big names is what it is. You know?
Yeah, a lot of like big female creators I tend to notice is like who she tends to have beef with.
Yeah, no, and I've heard nothing but lovely things about all these people from people who I've talked to who've been associated with them over the years, but like that's beside the point. The point is, like, I think it comes from envy. I really think it comes from envy because I think she really wishes she was taken seriously like that. I think like
the Nebula crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, entirely. Well, that was the whole thing with James Somerton too. Like, not to say that Lily is like James Somerton. They're very different.
Both of them. They're very similar, honestly.
They're similar and different at the same time. Like, I think James Somerton did more of the shotgun approach where he tried to talk about every topic, and you kind of like, wow, you sure know a lot about everything, don't you, James Somerton? And he's like ripping people off.
I'm gonna give you a bit of a. So I am from the same. I've mentioned this before on my channel, and I think I've mentioned it when I've been talking to you before as well. I live in the same city, grew up around the same time, and in the same sort of social environment as both Lily Orchard. Well, probably not same social environment, but I grew up in the same province and around the same time as Lily Orchard and James Somerton.
Mm-hmm.
We have, and kind of what we call people like James Somerton and Lily Orchard here is champagne socialists, where they show up for the party and to be seen amongst progressive crowds, but they don't actually believe it. And it's the kind of people that are like, oh yes, we should do something about the poors, but if you introduce a affordable housing plan in their neighborhood, they're like, oh no, I don't want them here. They're champagne socialists. They're not actually socialists. They don't believe in anything that they say. They just want to be thought of as one of those people, and they tend to be very gossipy. They tend to steal a lot from people that are much smarter than them without really understanding what they're saying. It kind of like reminds me of how Lily was talking about pairings that were kind of problematic and icky, and she said that Dipper and Mabel as a pairing was worse than Elsa and Anna because they're straight. And it's like, Lily, that's not why it's worse. It's worse because they're little children. You're like, oh God! It's like
that?
She knows that people have a more negative opinion of people shipping those characters, but she doesn't understand why. She just wants to be seen saying it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's the thing too. Oh, 100%. And like, you can see it with all their actions, like everything they've said. And with James Somerton, you saw the mask slip whenever he talked about women.
Yeah,
like that was his tell. Like he'd always have these like really messed up opinions on women. Like he would always like, and it's like you'd see him say something, and he'd be plagiarizing. The H Bomber Guy video kind of covers this specifically. Like he'd be going through like the 20 lines of like discussion about that he stole from 5 different essayists, and then he'll add in the bit to take a bite out of women, basically, like take the undercut their feet, and that's where the real opinions came in.
You should watch bad gay movies too. Like, stop asking for something better because then we won't get any gay movies. It's like,
exactly.
I don't know about that.
Just
like
make and the crazy thing is none of these people ever like raise up the importance of the arts. Like, I will say this, for all of the problems that certain critics have had, they do show up for when the thing that they're trying to promote comes up. Like they do support that. Like I think a lot about, and this is a very mainstream example. Well, not mainstream. It's very well known if you're familiar with like queer literature and everything. Tony Kushner's Angels in America. Not at all an obscure work of fiction, but when it came out, it wasn't super big. I mean, I know it was like award winning and all that, but I'm talking like among mainstream crowds. But you'd never see someone like Lily Orchard mention Angels in America or James Summerton mention Angels in America, unless it was specifically referenced in an essay, because they don't really explore outside of the specifics of what they want, and even like they're very incurious, I'd say, but they want to be seen as an authority. Whereas I think you and we're both, I think, willing to say, "Oh, I didn't know that," because I don't know everything. I know, shocking. But like, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, I think that like it is a product of the school system here as well. It's very hard for me to break out of that as well, and I've only been really able to in my old in my older years, just because of how the Nova Scotia school system is and has been for a very long time. Like I know what they would have gone through in school, and it was the same thing I did, and I could see how those opinions were formulated. And there is like, especially in the city, like you are expected to be progressive, you are expected to be liberal, but like you have to be the right kind of liberal, and you can't make too much noise. But a lot of people are a lot more regressive than you think they are. Like I can see the gears turning in both of their brains, and I know why they think what they think. And it has a lot to do with the environment that they grew up in and that they live in, and then being like blasted in the face with the Americanization you face upon the internet. You get a little defensive as a Canadian, but you want to be seen as smart, so you claim that you read all the same literature, the American literature, all the great American novels that American progressives did. But like, that's not the books that we grew up in, so it's okay that you didn't watch that or you didn't read that. But maybe if you're going to be talking on the topic now, especially to an American audience, maybe you should go back and read that, or just be okay with saying like, yeah, I didn't read that or I didn't watch that.
100%. And the thing also is too, even in America, that's an illusion that certain Americans put up. The average American doesn't read those books either. Like, in the United States, I'll tell you the books I read in high school, in American high school. And I'm trying to go off memory. Might be forgetting a couple, but this is the gist of it. Freshman year, we read was it Dawn? It was the Odyssey. Homer's The Odyssey. We had segments of it, not the whole thing. Dawn. We read Romeo and Juliet. We read there was a couple other books too I'm forgetting, but those are the gist there. In sophomore year, it was that Scarlet Letter? Scarlet Letter might have been that year. We read Death of a Salesman. We read Great Gatsby was junior year, so Great Gatsby was another one. What was that freaking book? That really annoying one where the school kid and the kid breaks his arm and he dies of marrow poisoning or something like that. I forget the name of it. That we read Julius Caesar. We read A Separate Piece by John Knowles. That's what I was thinking of. We read and we read Titus Andronicus in junior year. That was a weird choice. We read Eli Wiesel's Night. We read, and I'm just jumping around now. I'm trying to remember that
Yep.
come. We read Mrs. Dalloway. We read Hamlet. We read Grendel and Beowulf. Those are another couple of ones.
Now-
I go down the list of them, but they're all like the classics. But we're not reading like the stuff you see people celebrate, like bell hooks or anything like that. We're reading basic fiction that and this was in the New Jersey, New York area, which was a very well-funded schools, very sophisticated in that sense. And even then, we're reading stuff that is pretty. I don't think any of these are pretty like unusual books for high school to read. But yeah, no. But we also read Anthem. There was a weird scholarship too that every high schooler tried doing, where it was for like the Fountainhead. I think it was. That was weird. Which I don't. Ayn Rand, I'm not a particular fan of.
Me neither.
In fact,
I didn't read a lot of
can't
it,
stand her.
if I'm honest.
Yeah.
In Canada, like a lot of the books that we're supposed to read, that teachers have to teach us a specific amount of Canadian literature, just so that we don't get too Americanized is the goal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the big classics that a lot of Canadian kids might remember reading.
That's what I was forgetting. Catching the Rye. I'm sorry. As you were. Sorry. I knew there was something big I was forgetting. Sorry, that was the one.
Was The Hatchet? It's a big Canadian.
Hatchet. Yeah, we read that too.
Yeah. That one's Canadian. And it was one of the big ones that we were expected to read. But when I was younger, and it's still around today, we had something called Hackmatack.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bunch of Canadian books. As I recall it, when I was participating in it, I think around grade 4, you were just expected to read a bunch of these books. And I think that you could help get, if like, a teacher would like register a couple of their students into it. If they were like, oh, you're a bookworm, I'm going to kind of register you with this program. And depending on how many of these books you read, you could get funding for your school. And I think you also got prizes individually as kids. And I remember being in this program and like eating up a bunch of these like Canadian books. But like, I don't remember what the titles are because nobody talks about them. So I couldn't be like, oh, I read that book as a kid.
Okay, we had that too. And
oh yeah,
well, it was something like that. It was like, but it wasn't for school funding. It was just like a reading list for kids to read, and it was like a really, like, there were certain books for like younger kids. Like, we're talking like really, really young. And here was one of the books they made us read. Oh no, I'm not doing that because that's my Amazon account. This book right here. Ever hear this one, Out of the Dust?
Nope.
Okay, so if you read this book growing up, you deserve some therapy bills. It has one of the most horrible death scenes I've ever seen or read in any frickin' book. There's a scene where a pregnant mother gets kerosene dumped on her by accident, and it catches fire and then gives birth. And this is a book given to us in 4th grade. This is a 4th grade reading book where a pregnant mother is burned to death and gives birth. And the baby also dies and is burned. It is so deeply disturbing and so deeply upsetting that I have no idea why they gave it to us as kids. And like, no one else read these books. I was like, me and one other kid were the only nerds who decided to read all the books on the list. And we're getting this book, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, there were so many really, like, there were books like that too, with like, oh, here's a reading list, this is all good, Oh, The Giver was also great too. I read that one also.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
I think everyone read that one. I think, but like, you read it, it's like, what the fuck were these books? like, what is this?
Hatchet was very disturbing in that way. There was another book I read that was called Pictures of Hollis Woods. It ended up having a happy ending, but it was a very troubling book to read. I think it's Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Pictures of Hollis Woods. Patricia Rayleigh Jiff. American, never mind. She's from New York. I don't think. Yeah, I read that in grade 7, so that was much after the fact. Like, I read a lot of like weird books that I don't see talked about anymore these days as a kid.
Well, there's some books like that. Oh, another book I read in high school, which I think I should probably specify this one thing. This might affect what your opinion of the books I'm reading. I took a lot of AP courses in high school, so some of the books were like not what people would read ordinarily, but
yeah, I think I can't remember. I don't think I was allowed to take AP English because I was in immersion. So.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think one of the books I read that I really loved to this day is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I think I actually have it here somewhere because I bought it.
I heard you mention Things Fall Apart before.
It is a masterpiece of anti-colonialist writing. Because here it is, right here. Perfect. One second. Give me a second. I can grab it right now.
Okay. Yeah. You always have it. You always have to go into the background to grab your little book.
There you go. This is it right
What a nerd. Anthony Gramuglia is a nerd. Pass it along.
What? Sorry. Things Fall Apart. It's a masterwork of fiction.
Yep.
And this book is actually that's just designed like that. It's very short. It's only 100 something pages. 200 pages. Boogle Vonk, thank you for the super chat. Brave New World was in my elementary school. Oh my god. Read that in college. Oh my god.
I read Brave New World in high school. It did something to my brain.
I think we read 1984 in high school, not Brave New World. But I think Brave New World might be more disturbing to me because I feel like that's more.
Yeah, Brave New World, like does Canada also downplay racism too? Yes, in a lot of aspects, but there was a movement when I was a kid where it was to shine a light on that, especially towards Indigenous people. And there was like a lot of really great, and Acadian people too in Nova Scotia. So yeah, there's one. I think it was. Hold on.
A couple of things. I forgot we also read Lord of the Flies and Of Mice and Men as well. I just forgot that. Again, high school was a while ago, so I forget which books we read there specifically.
I have the book, but it's like packed away. I don't have a bookshelf yet, so it's packed away, and I'm trying to remember what it's about. It's about this is looking into like the crimes against the Acadian people, and it's horrific. And I read it in high school. I got it when I was in high school for a book project. And it was messed up. And it was about this person that was like kept seeing this ghost of a girl on the beach. And he eventually, I think the main character was male, like the point of view character was male, gets pulled into the past to experience the horrors done to the Acadian people. And it did not pull any freaking punches. And it messed me up.
What's the name of this book again?
I can't remember what it's called. I have it. It's in my pile of books, but it's like they're all packed away in like Rubbermaid bins and stuff. And it was so disturbing. Let me see if I can.
While you're doing that, another book I remembered that was like for whatever reason, I just recalled this was Demian by Herman Hesse, which I never saw this cover of the book that's on screen, but oh my god. I forgot the name. I forgot like the name of this book. It's like unlocked like and I actually know what's funny about this book is that the reason I remember this book distinctly is because it's quoted directly in Utna. Like there's a line whenever you see in Utna the student council that going up into their like little council room, they start saying a thing about like an egg cracking its shell. That line is from Demian by Herman Hesse. So that's and I was watching Utna at the same time. So just coincident. Hesse. It's pronounced Hesse. Sorry, Herman Hesse. So I was reading Herman Hesse at the time, and that component of it was just like stood out to me. Nothing else but the book stands out to me. I forget all the other details, but that one line is like. And it has like that kind of cult-like ideas. It's very unsettling, if I remember correctly. But
I can't find what the book is called. I know I have it.
Oh,
in my pile somewhere.
this was the cover we had in high school. This cover right here with like the angel wings, and it's like, oh, it's all so mystical and cool, and not like terrifying nightmare fuel that will stick in your dreams forever. Oh, these books are great.
No, not the books.
We read funny
I
books
need
too.
a bookshelf so badly.
Oh, a good shelf is so useful. I have a couple.
I need a short, long one because I live, where I live up on the 4th floor, and I live where the gable is kind of bisecting my room.
I
So
see
like
what
I
you're saying.
can't get a tall bookshelf, so I've got to. I'm not gonna go through these right now. There's
No,
too many. But when I find the book, I will tell you the title. Because I remember it messing me up as a kid quite a lot. Oh, wait a minute. What's this one? Oh, this is not the right one, but it is another good book. I read in high school called "Surviving the Applewhites." For some reason, I read a lot of books about kids in foster care. I guess I wasn't in foster care as a kid,
That's
but
interesting. Kind of
maybe it's in here because I think I. Oh, no, that's After Hamlin, which is also another really good book. It's like kind of the idea is it's like a. I'm just like talking about books that I have.
Hey, that's
it's
fair. I'm down for that. Did you ever read? Sorry.
After Hamlin is considered like it's like a sequel to the Pied Piper of Hamlin, and the main character, very coincidentally, went deaf the night before the Pied Piper stole away all the children. So she was the only child left that in the whole village, and she's tasked with finding the other children because only children, apart from the Pied Piper, only children can enter this world.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was an interesting book. It's like it has like a dream world sort of thing going on. Sorry, I'm looking for this book. What the fuck is this?
While you're looking for that,
Herbs and Spices. Okay.
You ever read the book The Westing Game?
The Westing Game.
I remember it being a really interesting book, but I forget the specifics of it.
I don't think I have. It doesn't sound familiar.
I'm gonna find this book. So it's like an older book. It was like a young adult mystery book, but it's like a core memory reading this book as a kid, and it's like kind of like it's kind of like a big puzzle book. It's kind of plays on like wordplay and like puzzle solving. It's a really interesting book, but like I remember reading it, loving it as a kid, but I wonder if I read it now as an adult, I'd be like, oh, it's obvious what the answers are, because I forget half the twists because so much time's passed. So I feel like if I read it today, I'd be like, oh, well, obviously this leads to that, and that's what they're saying here, and it's like, I remember digging it though.
I'm making a mess.
Had a cool cover though. There were some of these covers were really cool. Like they were really doing a good job with this like whole. And whenever you saw this Newberry medal, you knew you were in for some shit. Like you knew you were in for something awful.
Absolutely.
Something really just like wreck your world. That and Holes.
Another good book that I have a copy of. I don't know if I got this after high school or from high school. Chandra by Frances Marie Hendry. It's about an Indian girl that there's an arranged marriage, but then like the husband, she gets sent to her new husband's family, and she kind of likes him, so she's kind of okay with the idea. But then when she gets to her new family's home, turns out her husband died the previous day. So it's kind of like exploring the kind of horrors that sort of come up with that. If I read it now with a more critical eye, I'm not sure if the woman who wrote it is Indian herself, but like, I might have. Oh, I found my Anne Rice book.
Oh, there you go. You gotta get your Anne Rice in there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know she's stinky, but I love a good Anne Rice book.
You realize I've done an entire video that a good chunk of it was just about Anne Rice, right? At least once. No.
More
Anne Rice is a character.
Who's the character?
I'm trying to think.
She.
What
Ooh, is this it? Is this it?
Did you find it?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
For a second.
Kingsley Amos, Lucky Jim.
Mm.
I don't know who that is.
You know, it's actually really strange. One book we read in middle school, and this is like the only a few kids were allowed to read this one in school, was Shogun.
Oh.
Which is, in hindsight, bizarre that we read Shogun in middle school, but like read like I don't know, like 1984 and stuff like that, or like The Giver in like high school. It's like, it's really strange that Shogun was the book they made us read in middle school, but that was like a really, again, very specific kids, but that was really interesting.
On my copy of The Left Hand of Darkness.
Oh, masterpiece. We did not read that in school. It wasn't even an option for us to choose. One we read, though, was No Exit by Sartre.
Okay.
Jean-Paul Sartre. That was a play that... are you familiar with No Exit?
I am not.
It's a single-act play. Basically, the play is set in one room. You're in hell. And
oh, boy.
A demon comes up and goes, okay, here's your room. And you have two roommates. And then you just close the door, and the theme of the play is that hell is other people. Each of the three...
Oh, I've heard of it, yes.
Oh, yeah, it's a great play. It's like each one of them pines for one of the other people in the room, but who they can't stand. But the person who they pine for can't stand them. And it's just like a perfect triangle of like wanting that person, but knowing that person hates your guts. And then...
Yep.
You know, someone pining after you who you can't freaking stand.
That was...
Oh, it's perfect.
Hmm.
It's a great little story. That's great.
I'm gonna be able to find that book tonight. I'm sorry.
It's all good. We're probably gonna wrap.
I really
things
wanted
up.
to.
But, oh no.
Yeah, let's wrap things up.
You'll let me know when you find it. I'm gonna wrap things up because I have work in the morning, and technically I haven't technically finished my video on Friday. It's close. It's almost done. It's just not quite there. Yeah. I got distracted by Andrew Garfield. I think
I bit off more than I can chew with a weekly upload schedule, because I have nothing for this week.
That's fair.
I think I need to get used to that flow before I commit to once a week videos. But yeah,
it's good to build up to it. I agree. I kind of also, if you look at my early videos, you can see me shuffling into the pacing I currently have.
Mm-hmm.
Because my early videos, I admit the first two videos I did took about a month to do both of them. I took 2 weeks on both, and then after that I went for a really short one, thinking, I'll just do a short video in between the two bigger projects. And my earlier ones, you can see like that 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, and when I got to use video, that really became a time saver. But even then, there's a lot of editing problems in the early ones. And that's one thing, too, I want to address in one of these upcoming streams, is discussing criticism levied against someone and how you can use good criticism to help develop better. You know, I think that's, especially with how... I talked to you about this before, but I'll say it on stream, too. With the whole thing with, like, Lily, one thing that disturbed me is how she refuses to take criticism. Like, that, as a component, just upsets me. And I want to see if I can, like, demonstrate a good way of dealing with criticism and a good way of interpreting criticism. Now, not all of it's useful, but some of it is.
Speaking of which, I would love to hear, like, just to kind of, as we're wrapping it up, to bring it back. Do you have any, like, criticism for my video that I could kind of take notes on? Don't be afraid of hurting my feelings. I'm a big boy.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be afraid of that. I'll tell you. So first off, I think you have a good pacing. I like the cadence of the video. I think at times, I feel like with your voice sometimes, like I feel like there are a couple points where you're a little held back on in terms of how expressive your voice can be sometimes. Like right here, talking to you, like you're very conversational. I feel like if you add more of that, and there are points where I can see you like really shining and excitable. I think early on you were a little unsure of how to present the video.
Absolutely.
I felt like, absolutely. And I feel like you know that too. Like when you first started, you're like, I feel like you're almost like easing into it, like you're like, okay, let's get started. But then as you went on, you got more naturalistic, and that was where you really, the pacing got really good. I think one thing too, the transitions between entries, I feel like you kind of just faded to black and then just you waited.
Yeah, I think also think that I need to add more title graphics in. Like I didn't put I should have put the titles of the shows up, I think. And maybe if I made it very like number 1, number 2, I think that would have been a bit more, especially for the style of video I was doing. I think that would have made them hit a little harder. I'm coming at this as somebody who works kind of like in this sort of in between of like the therapy world and the education system. And I kind of have been tackling videos in the way that I would tackle talking to a classroom full of kids. And I kind of like that as a starting point, but I want to lean more into making these good videos, not just good lectures.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. I think something that helped me a lot was I became more conversational with my videos. Like obviously, I still write scripts. I still have that structure, but I feel like with doing streams too, I was able to kind of exercise my camera presence a little bit more. Like even looking at older videos now, I'm thinking, I should have been more conversational, been more, and that's something you develop just by doing it. That's something you just get better at the more you do it. And I see no reason to believe why anything I'm saying aren't things you're just going to naturally improve on as you do it, because I can see all the foundational components of it. It's just the things I think you just need to, when you're recording, just feel more confident. And I think also we discussed this too at mic quality too. Like your mic sounds, I think, stronger here than it did in the video. I think it might be the recording equipment, the recording program you're using.
Yeah, I use Premiere Pro's like internal audio capture, and I think that might be bad. I think the encoder might be poopy, and I think I'm going to start using Audacity instead at your recommendation.
That's what I use all the time, and I think it just sounds a little. And I'm not saying that's the best thing either. It's just a good free program, but it's free and it works. So I found when I used CyberDirector for my video editing, which isn't the best program either, but and that program has a lot of issues too. Like for example, some of their tools they're AI assisted, unfortunately, some of their tools. And I try to avoid the ones that are. But when I've used their audio recording, it always sounded very strange. I did it for one video and then re-recorded everything I've used with their app with Audacity instead. Some of these like video programmers, they have good video editing stuff, but their mechanisms for recording are just a little. I think they compress too much is the problem, I think is what it is. Yeah,
I think so too.
And with your mic, do you have one of those mics that is like full range, or is it only specific parts of the mic that record sound?
I have a headset gaming mic. It's specifically a Skull Candy player mic.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
That I originally got for gaming, and because I was living with a roommate who got very irritated whenever she heard me make, like, I could just scrape my foot on the floor and she'd get irritated.
Oh, I hate that. That's disgusting.
So I had to, like, she'd be up at all hours voice chatting with her friends, but like if I like made a little peep, I was the villain. So I got a headset, and it was Bluetooth, so I could like connect it to my smart TV that I had in my room and watch my shows and play my games without disturbing my roommate, and that's the microphone that I've been using.
Well, it sounds good here. I think I might.
Yeah, I think I want to get like I got a little bit of extra money the other day, and I finally got a modern graphics card that isn't like 13, 14 years old.
There you go.
So I'll be able to edit on my big computer now. Good. And I think I'll also get a microphone, and like that's going to eat up a lot of that money that I got, but I think it's worth it for the channel.
Also, this was like $30. This is like a $30-$40 mic. I mean, don't do it on this side. This sounds bad, but this is good. I'll send you the one I used actually, because it's not super expensive. Just make sure when you record with this one, you record the side with the light on, And because otherwise it just sounds very distorted. Otherwise, but
Oh, okay. All right.
so that's the one that's the one caveat. Again, I bought an inexpensive mic, but like
I have some lav mics, but I find that they're very quiet. And that was the one that I was using where it was only coming out of one channel.
oh, I see.
I ended up fixing that later on, but it's also very awkward to use because you have to get really close. And I have a small desk, and the tripod pod was on my desk, and it was very awkward. So
no, 100%, that makes sense. But no, yeah, these are simple things, and again, like all of this is you're gonna get better at all this anyway. The more you do it, like that's the thing. Like you get better at pacing it, you get better at editing it, you get better at all these different components. The more you do it, the more you succeed at it. And I see no reason to believe that you wouldn't get better at it on your own. But these are things you can just do to improve if you choose to. And again, the way I give criticism, it's like, hey, you can take it or leave it. I don't want to like tell you do this. You must.
Yeah.
Even if I send you the mic link, it's up to you. You won't offend me if you don't buy that mic. I'm just saying. Oh, here's what I won't be offended.
I like taking it. Like again, like I got the graphics cards. Like I messaged my friend who helped me build my computer. Be like, hey, graphics card. What do you think I should get? And like I have no problem taking advice from other people. So yeah, I probably will get that microphone because it sounds like it's an affordable option for me, and your voice sounds great. So
good. Thank
hopefully mine will sound decent.
Also,
yeah,
good.
No, I have no problem taking advice.
Also in chat, people are recommending Blue Snowball and Yeti. I have used both of those. Those are both great mics too.
Those are expensive
mics.
Though.
They are more pricey.
Those are expensive. That's
the issue. They're more pricey. This was an inexpensive one, and it works. But any of this is you don't need a lot of money to start this up, which is good. That's the one good thing about YouTube. It is the startup costs are as much as you want them to be. I want to actually get a new webcam because this is not a great webcam for streaming. It's in fact I bought it when I was teaching English as a second language about 10 years ago. And so it's a 10-year-old webcam. Hey, it's still working. I got a lot of use out of it. It was tax deductible, so that's something.
There you go.
Guess. Anyway,
I'm probably not gonna do the webcam thing just because of the job that I do as a day job. I don't want kids being like, hey, wait a minute, aren't you that guy on YouTube? Like, assuming I ever get any amount of success to the point that people could recognize me from the street. I don't want.
That makes me think of the Emma Richu video when that happens.
I'd rather not have my face be recognizable, and like there's other YouTubers that are like that too. I believe Zombie Cleo, because she was a teacher, she didn't want people to know her face either. That could be problematic if you're a teacher or you work in social services or anything like that. You don't want people recognizing you if you work with kids.
No, 100%. Whereas I work
you basically work in like writing and stuff, so you kind of.
Yeah, I'm a faceless drone in that sense. I sit at my desk, I do my job, and I leave.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so that's a good question. I'm not a teacher. I have worked in teaching. That's not quite the same thing. And it's a career I'm not currently pursuing because I just didn't enjoy it.
I am also not a teacher. I work with teachers and with therapists. I work in the social services. And next year, I was going to do it this year, but I couldn't get my finances in order. But I was basically going to take something similar to a social worker's degree, but it's more focused on outreach and mental health rather than like, I don't really like social workers, but maybe I have biases, but I don't want to be the one standing at being the gatekeepers of people getting access to certain services. I'd rather be doing outreach and working in homeless shelters and group homes and stuff like that. And like the Youth Project, which is a young LGBT organization working with queer teens, getting them their resources. I'd rather do stuff like that than be a social worker. Also, social worker degrees are expensive. So I'm not a teacher either, but I've worked. Whoa.
What?
I'm not a teacher. I heard something.
I bumped something on my screen because I'm running my stream on my monitor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So like same thing. I think we both have like worked in like similar capacities to education, but not in education directly.
No, yeah. And it's like, I'm just turning on my streams because there's no point with that anymore. Oh, actually, wait a second. Is this? Oh no, never mind. That's fine. I got a message from a certain. Never mind. I'll talk to you a bit later.
Any advice on how to get into that field, Crim? Absolutely. Usually YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters, summer camps, that sort of thing. They will hire anybody on the street to, like, you don't have to have any credentials necessarily. Sometimes credentials help, like summer camp, if you have like your lifeguarding license or you have wilderness first aid, that can really help in those instances. But those are really good places to get experience and see if you even want to work in that field. If you can't handle summer camp or Boys and Girls Club or YMCA, this field is not for you. Now, I had my issues with the YMCA and Boys and Girls Club, but that was more like from a management's perspective, rather than working with the kids. But I would suggest trying those things out before after school programs, like anything like that. They usually don't require credentials as long as you pass a criminal record check and you show a genuine interest and understanding in working with kids. You'll probably get hired.
Yeah, which is, again, so helpful to anyone who wants to jump in that career. All right, so I'm starting to fade a little bit, so I'm probably gonna close out. I think you can even see it. Like, I'm starting to get a little okay. Now my brain's starting to shut down. So Crim, anything you can? Where can people find you aside from the channel that we marketed for the entire first half of the video?
Yeah. Well, again, Crimson Ender is my YouTube channel. Check that out. Subscribe, please. I'm also on Tumblr. If you actually go to my channel, I have a bunch of social links that you can check me out. I do art sometimes. My Discord is usually open, and you can find a link to it in most of my videos. Next episode, the next videos that's coming out is probably going to be a casual stream on Thursday. I think I'm going to continue my gameplay of Night in the Woods. The VODs for that are up. Yeah. I also did. I didn't do a stream on Sunday because I didn't have a topic, but my last stream was a drawing stream where people chucked me donations for doodle requests. That was really fun. You might want to check that one out. Yeah.
All right, and we'll be back on Friday with a new video. Again, I'm just going to post the thumbnail again in case you missed it the first time. We are going to be talking about bisexuality. I know, everyone's favorite topic. And Spies.
Wait a minute,
What?
Wait a minute. I'm getting the vibe that you might be bisexual.
What? Who told you that, Crim?
I think you like boys.
What? Crim, come on. Listen, are you saying I'm a certified boy liker now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think you're a boy liker.
Oh, yeah?
And a girl liker.
And a girl liker? And like everything else as well? Fair enough. All right. All right, chat. Take care. And good luck. We're all counting on you.
Good night.